Hi, my name's Dave, and you're listening to episode 62 of On the Bench, the show for scale modelers, by scale modelers, all about scale models. For this episode, we are joined by Robert Madden to have a chat about rivet counters. Are they simply white noise to the modelling community, or do they in fact have an important role to play? We're going to delve deep and try and answer that very intriguing question. As well as our usual listener mail and what's new, we're also going to have a chat about masking your model, a topic that a lot of you, our loyal listeners, have been asking us to cover. But first I have an important announcement. This show is being brought to you by the generous support of David Yale, who has joined the ranks of our growing army of Patreon supporters. You too can answer the call by going to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amount from $1 upwards. These valued contributions help us to cover our production costs and are greatly appreciated. Fine Scale Modeler is proud to support On the Bench. Fine Scale Modeler is the world's most recognised and essential magazine, and is available in all good newsagents and newsstands, or wherever you purchase your magazines. Alternatively, go to their website www.finescale.com and subscribe to either the print edition or the digital edition, or why not both? Go now. Go to www.finescale.com. And hello and welcome to the show, and hello Ian.
G'day Dave, g'day listeners.
G'day Julian.
G'day.
And welcome to our special guest, Robert. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Hello, listeners.
And thanks for coming back on the show again.
Pleasure.
Gents, what's been happening with all of us? Let's start with you, Ian. What have you been up to?
Oh, still stuffing around with the buffalo.
Still with the buffalo.
Still, I have not touched a pot of paint on that thing yet.
So what's the problem?
Research.
Okay.
Dutch buffaloes were quite a unique painted thing. There's a big discussion going around what colour the interior is.
All right.
I've got three choices so far.
I would have said silver lacquer. But
Silver lacquer with black upper surfaces, or British interior green.
Right.
And then you go to the outside colours, which used to be tan and green, which now latest research puts it down as olive drab and US dark green 42.
Have you seen the colour photograph of one of them?
There is a colour photograph, but that's a fake one.
Is it? It looks real.
It does look real, but that's...
Was in Air Power magazine?
Yep.
Oh, well.
Yeah, the Dutch one. Yeah. Which they've now repainted in the green colours.
Right. I shouldn't nod, I should actually speak, shouldn't I?
So, yeah, once I finally sorted that out, then I can, start painting. I've been doing a bit of photo etch on it. And
Photo etch, right.
yeah. Oh, I love my photo etch.
Well, do you?
Photo etch is his friend.
That's my friend. But no, carving away details inside the cockpit that shouldn't be there and then having to replace them with photo etch, it's all part of the game.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Julian.
Yeah, well, we've had a few rainy weekends lately.
We have indeed.
Yeah.
In fact, I got sent down to Terralgan last weekend on the potential bad storm that's coming through.
Flooding?
Yeah, flooding and rain and storms. And actually had a tornado that hit up in the north of the state.
Really?
Yep. Went through a cattle feedlot.
It's like cows everywhere.
Yeah, killed a couple of cows.
Killed cows?
Yeah.
Wow.
We get a lot of tornadoes in Australia. It's just that 99% of them in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Nobody sees them or hears them, or they don't damage anything.
Well, that's right.
It's just when they sort of hit metropolitan areas that,
Was it 85% of our country is uninhabited?
Yeah, exactly right. Sorry, Julian, we digressed.
Well, yeah, I sort of looked out my window and I saw this torrential downpour, and I decided, I'm not going to go out to the garage and paint anything. So I have sort of painted a little bit of stuff on the car, the Lancia that I've been working on.
Oh yeah, yep.
We did a bit of painting on that. So since then I've been using my chrome pen my Molotow chrome pen.
Isn't
on
it gorgeous?
on the headlights and everything.
Isn't it the best thing?
It is.
It is
yeah.
very good.
It is brilliant.
Yeah, and even with these largish, car headlights in
Yeah.
24th scale, I would say only buy the smallest pen, because
Yeah,
otherwise
yeah,
you just can't get it into the places you
Yep.
need it to get to.
Yep.
Yep.
Then I have been working on the P47 a little bit. So I got my replacement bits for my airbrush, and I haven't done any airbrushing because it's the wet weather. But I've been working on the other little bits and pieces. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, very good. Robert, what have you been doing since we last saw you? You were last on when we were talking about Japanese...
No, I was talking about French tanks.
French tanks, I beg your pardon, yes.
Well, I've been building a American aeroplane, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the same P-47 as Julian for the Waverley Interclub competition.
Yep.
And I've just been working on that, and I was told that this kit was like the best ever 48 scale kit. No, it isn't. It has a few problems which I've been dealing with,
Yeah.
and also had the exciting thing of gluing my fingers to the model, which was a lot of fun. Had to cut my fingers off.
What sort of glue are you using?
Super glue.
What to stick it together?
Well, I'd been overzealous with some sanding,
Yeah.
and I got a bit of a saddle, and
Yeah.
so I had to glue some plastic on there, and I pressed it down, and the super glue came out from under the plastic, and glued 2 fingers, in fact, to the model. One more than the other, and I was pulling off the one that was glued more.
Yeah.
Pressed down on the other one,
Yeah.
and that just glued permanently and would not come off. And I didn't have any super glue remover or acetone or anything, so I just had to cut it away with the XL blade. And
Do you know the hardest thing to sand?
Your fingers?
I was gonna say that.
No, it's skin.
I
Because
suppose it would be,
I've done
yeah.
that before. I've left when I was using PE, and I got some super glue, and it got stuck to my fingers and got stuck to the kit, and so rip it off, and so there's a little bit of skin always left there, and it is the worst stuff to try and sand off. Is skin. It is the worst.
Well, you think what your skin's designed to do? It's designed to
true.
stretch and
It's like
be bashed around.
It's like sanding rubber, right?
Yes, it is. It's like sanding rubber.
Yeah,
on.
I've been building all these car kits, and all of them have got like this seam that runs down the middle of the tire, and I've got to be sanding all that out, so I know what you're talking about.
Oh, moral of the story is don't super glue your fingers onto your
Yes.
kits.
That's true.
Yeah, it's not part of the kit.
But anyway, that's all rectified now. It's ready for paint now, so that'll be good. Can I just backtrack a little bit and talk about the chrome pen?
Yes.
We as you know, we've got a new guy at the club,
Yes.
and we were showing our stuff, and Julian showed the chrome pen to this new guy, and he goes, "Oh yeah." He didn't realise the miracle that the chrome pen is. It's just,
You're disappointed.
yeah, I was, because it is a miracle device.
Yeah, because it was like one extra person that you hadn't
Yeah.
blown their mind about.
That's right. But he's new to model. Hasn't been doing it for 30 years.
So
or something.
he doesn't comprehend
No.
how much it's made life easier by
That's
having
right.
that.
Yeah. So
There must be something about having blissful ignorance like that. It must be a joy to have.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
It's a bit like somebody if they'd just bought a new computer and hadn't known what they used to be like 20 years ago. They'd just
Windows
say,
3.1.
Yeah. People with their smartphones and they can do anything.
Yeah, I know.
That's right.
Try a bit of DOS.
Yes. DOS.
Alright,
MS DOS.
I had to learn that as a kid. Yeah.
Good old DOS.
And dial-up internet. What was that like? Eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Ah, yes.
It's funny because I remember when we first had dial-up, and when you went with an ISP,
Yeah.
you got 20 minutes a day, and as soon as you dialed in and got connected,
Right.
then they had a timer at the other end, and after 20 minutes, it would cut you off.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
And remember how slow everything was? So you'd sit there waiting for a page to load. You see the line come down, next line to make the picture. And that would be like 10 minutes. You go, oh, come on, come on.
Yeah, don't time out of me yet.
Oh, God, kids don't know how good they've got it these
They
days.
do
True,
not.
true.
Oh, jeez.
So what have you been up to, Dave?
I'm having some wins and having some disasters. So,
Some disasters.
As you already know, I posted on our Facebook page about my
The B-47.
B-47. And,
You can still fix that.
Putting tape on decals.
yeah, well,
Noob.
it was pure laziness, and that's what it was.
Pure
because I'm
laziness.
sitting at my desk, and I could see I needed a bit of black touch-up because the decal hadn't sort of settled, it cracked when it settled, so I just want to touch it up with a bit of black spray. And I could either get up out of my chair and go and dig out the post-it notes on the other side of the room, or I could stay in my chair and just reach over and grab the Tamiya tape. I said, oh, yeah, it looks like these are settled okay. So I just sort of, I didn't put it down hard, I just lightly sort of tacked it down, sprayed it, and then went, zip, ripped it off, and off came all the decals.
And there was no clear between the tape and the decal, was
No,
there?
because,
Well, no,
we were talking about this off air, weren't we, Robert? You do dumb things when you're trying to rush, or you're not taking the time to sort of think the steps through.
Or you get complacent. Everything's going really well. And you think, just cruising along.
And these
Bang!
decals went down so beautifully, and I was really worried about them. And they went down really well, and they looked like they had. You know how when a decal goes on perfectly and almost you can't tell it's a decal?
Mm-hmm.
It had gone down that well.
Yep.
And I thought, oh, perfect.
Wow.
So,
Well-
but on the flip side of that, there was a guy on Facebook today on one of these model sites, or swap and sells
Yep.
on Facebook. He sold. I bought one for $20 off him. So I thought, oh, bargain.
So you're starting again.
Yes.
Completely.
Well, you know what?
Well, why don't you just have a go at trying to rectify your mistakes?
Because I'm learning from mistakes and moving forward.
No, I don't blame you, but I mean,
This is
you were already gonna use an airbrush to touch up some decal problems.
Yeah, but the
so
decal,
why can't you just continue doing that?
Because the colour on the decal wing on the top of the B47 is a very sort of specific and strange, not reflective, but
It's a grey colour, is it not?
yeah, but it's a particular grey. I can't describe it, and I'd probably send myself nuts trying to match it perfectly. So you know what?
Yeah, but why don't you, rather than match it perfectly, why don't you just get close and then sort of use your airbrush skills to sort of disguise it?
Put a tarp over it.
Yes.
Tarp on a B47.
Yeah, that's what Michael would say. Just put a tarp over
Put a
it.
tarp over it, mate. She'll be right.
No. I'm starting again, and that's it.
My question is, though, when you say starting again, just new decals or make the model again?
Well, this is the choice I've got, but looking at the model now, I can see some faults in it, so I'm pretty keen to go back and go, I'll redo the whole thing.
Well,
Restart.
that sort of works with my philosophy.
Yeah.
I can't afford it, but I always think you should have two models, actually three. One to keep in the box, one to practice on, and one's the proper one.
Well, it's funny, our friend Paul up in our friend Paul up in Queensland, who won at Model
Expo.
Comp this year, Expo. He does exactly that.
He does, right.
He'll run three models together, and one will be as a test bed for the paint that he wants to use in the paint scheme. The other one's like another sort of test mule, and the third one he does and he does them concurrently. And the third one is his piste resistance.
Okay, right.
So there is some method in that madness, and I think if you can afford to do it.
Well, he can because he works in 70-second scale,
Well, yeah.
and generally, single seat.
Well, you're not going to go out and buy 3 wingnut wings Gothas.
No.
I'm sure
no,
some
you're not.
have.
Some have,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But see, it's 1/144th scale, so what do I care if I go and buy another B47?
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah, it's not a big deal at all.
I mean, I spend $10 on a pot of paint for goodness sake. So, a $20 model isn't really going to break my bank.
True.
Or drive me nuts.
Too true.
So I don't think this is as much as I agree with this. I don't think it's a thing you need to do with armor kits. I don't think
Maybe not.
because I think armor kits, if you just stuff off your paint job, you just paint over it.
Weather it.
Yeah, there's a lot more give in armour kits. There's less give in
Aircraft.
Cars.
and car. I think cars especially, especially the high gloss ones. And
Because you throw enough paint at a kit, it starts to change shape.
figures would be another one. I reckon that'd be a tough one to
Oh
come back
yeah,
from.
or anything that has a lot of sort of physical features that can get watered down by too many layers of paint.
Yep. Ships, it depends what type of ship you're building. You can there's some where you can sort of get away with it, and some where you just haven't got a hope. So, interesting.
Yep.
I suppose the thing is, just don't ever make any mistakes, and you just have to buy one.
That's
Oh, yeah.
part of the
So
learning
easy.
process. That's how we managed to get to the moon, and we're going back again through all these mistakes, Robert.
Right.
See, that's
Right.
how we learn.
Fair
Well,
enough.
that's my
So we're going
philosophy.
back to the moon, are we?
Yes, we are.
Chasing the helium-3?
Well, yes.
I think I
all
understood that reference.
Yes, had to throw that reference in.
Hey, I've got a new
We are
sound.
from
I've got a new soundbite for our listener mail. So just stand by 1 second.
So we're going to do our listener mail now, are we?
Well,
Dave?
yeah, I don't want to talk about the moon and Nazis on the moon and all that. So hang on a second. And so here's the new sound.
Ooh,
Oh, I'm going to make it louder, don't I?
Dateline.
I'll make it louder when I go back. Anyway, here we are with listener mail. The first one, Eugene has written back in and he said thanks for the shout out from the podcast. He forgot to mention that he is paralysed down the left side of his body.
Ooh.
So all his models are built with basically only using one hand. So far he's completed 5 and he's got one on the bench now. So he says, listeners, it can be done. It just might take you a little bit longer.
There used to be a guy that used to show up at Expo who only had one arm, and he was a very good model builder.
Yeah.
You wonder how it's possible.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can sort of do workarounds in that. And obviously
I guess
Eugene
so.
sort of built them quite happily.
Well, you've seen those people paint with their feet.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
play piano.
My left foot, that was one,
Yeah, but they have
wasn't it?
2 feet.
Paint with both feet. You can, yeah.
Well, I mean, like the unique challenges of building with one hand would be you'd need something to hold the model while your hand does the work, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I imagine he has these, I've seen people use styrofoam with slots in them to hold a plane at a certain angle while they
Yes.
install flaps and things like that, dive brakes.
Yeah, it could be done.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it is done. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But, geez, you got
Kudos
more
to
patience.
Eugene.
Yeah,
Eugene's got
exactly.
more patience than I've got.
Yeah, definitely.
We've heard back from Tim Young. If you remember our last podcast, Tim sent us a very detailed email about the difference between HO scale
Oh, yeah,
and
train
all
scales.
that. Yeah,
Because we're nuffies when it comes to that.
yeah. Yeah, we should get somebody in from who does trains one day. It'd just be interesting crossover, I think. Have a chat about that.
Yeah.
In fact, they could tell you that all the wonderful new things that that come on the scene for us modelers have been done since about 1870
Yeah,
in train
with the
modelling.
railroad modelers, yeah.
Well, the funny thing, see, because here was me, and I walked in the model shop 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I'm thinking, gee, $100 is expensive for that model and whatever. And there was some train. It was Brunei Hobbies.
Yep.
And
Brunel.
Brunel, sorry. And they do a lot of train stuff in there. So, I'm there scratching myself over, geez, $100 is a lot of money for this particular kit. And there's guys rocking in there, and they're paying $450, $600 just for a single locomotive. And it's already built, ready to go. I'm
Yeah.
thinking, and here's me,
Having
tossing over whether,
having a cry, having a cry because it
Yeah.
costs too much money.
I got it good. Anyway, on to Tim, an email from Tim. So Tim said, thanks very much for reading my very long email and nice comments. If you get a chance, could I get a call out from Model Show? It is the IPMS UK Keighley Club is having their second annual show at the University Academy in Keighley, which is in West Yorkshire, on Sunday the 22nd of September. There are loads of club and special interest group displays, including 1/44th scale, plus traders and competitions, and of course food. Many thanks from Tim.
No worries,
Yes, Tim, I think we can mention that, can't we?
Yes, we can. We'll just give him a quick plug.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, Dan Hackett sent me an email. And if you recall, I'm going down and building an M113 at the moment. I want to do it as a NASA one. Mm-hmm. And Julian was poo-pooing me the other week about being able to find decals for it.
All right.
Yeah.
Was I? I don't
Yeah,
know.
well,
I can't
yeah.
keep track
Sounds
of all
like you.
It sounds. They can't keep track of all the things I poo-poo.
Well, obviously Dad's got a lot of time because he said, David and Julian, proceeding down another research rabbit hole after your M113 NASA rescue vehicle with a good luck finding a decals for that comment. I provide this link to exactly show you what you need. Just spin up the time machine, go back to 2008. There's a guy over in the US, Mike Del Vecchio, who produced a decal set back in 2008. Dan says it's an enjoyable but ultimately disappointing search. Keep up the great work of the podcast, and I enjoy every episode.
No worries.
So thanks for that, Dan.
See, that was all part of my master plan. That was crowd sort. Utilizing our community to solve unique problems.
And a good friend of mine, Paul, from the US, he put me on to what has to be the smallest model club in the world, which is in Fargo. It's got 2 members. 2 members in the model club.
Now, Fargo, where's that?
Fargo's in
Alaska?
No, Dakota. North Dakota?
North Dakota. I don't know.
We had this discussion a couple of episodes. North Dakota, South Dakota. I'll get confused.
Is there an east and a west?
No, there's not.
Oh, okay.
The problem is all their previous members have been chipped.
Yes. Very good. Or have met worse fates if you watch the TV series from the other shows.
So 2 members in the club.
2 members of the club.
Wow.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, you do.
What happens if they vote for something and they split 1 for 1 against?
Then they split the club. Happens to all clubs.
It does, yes, unfortunately.
I did get a Facebook message from one of our listeners, and for the life of me, I can't remember who. But if you recall, I found this hack about when you buy rubber O-rings. So if you're doing the bombs, you're doing a little yellow sort of round circle on it.
Yep.
So you paint your bomb yellow, then you put your O-ring on and spray it. And, oh gosh, I wish I could remember his name. He wrote in and said, when you're down at the dentist next, ask for those little rubber bands that they use on braces.
Yes, I remember those.
Because they're supposed to be, they're just as good, but even sort of get better definition out of them, and they're really tiny as well. So I thought, that's a good idea.
Well, see, I used to have braces, and I would have thought that those would be too skinny to do the rings. Or maybe you'd maybe need to put a few on.
It depends what scale you're doing it in.
For your scale, yeah, it'd be easy.
But even things like, on the Japanese destroyers, and if you're doing that white funnel mark, that white line around the funnel, I mean, you can just use one of them. It'd be awesome. A great idea. See, a little mind going whir, click.
Yes,
So
it is.
modelers find solutions for all sorts of problems.
But the only trouble is to go down to the dentist and ask for it. You feel obliged to have a checkup.
Yeah.
It's not so much a dentist thing as it is an orthodontist.
True.
Yeah.
But
I guess you could just walk in an orthodontist store, couldn't you?
And while you're there, ask for all their tools. That used to be.
Yeah, because some of those dental tools are really good for the hobby.
Sounds like a joke. 2 modelers walked into an orthodontist shop.
Well, I think it'd be easier to get the rubber bands because they're things that they give to patients to take home and charge them, whereas the tools are not for sale, right?
Well, a lot of those tools, they use them maybe once or twice, and then throw them out.
Yeah. But you'd be better off like contacting a supplier, whoever supplies them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would. I lust over. There's a show on one of the pay channels that I've got, and it's about these 2 plastic surgeons over in Hollywood, and they do.
Yes, I think I know the one.
I can't think of the name of the show.
Yeah,
and
Botched, I think it's called.
Yeah, that's it. Called Botched. Don't ask me why I watch it, but anyway, I watch it because I'm obsessed by the headlight or the light he wears over the top of his head with the magnifying glasses.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah.
I reckon that'd be awesome to do modelling with.
Imagine the cost of a surgeon's special.
Yes, it'd be very expensive, wouldn't it? So yeah, I'd lust after one of them. I reckon that'd be pretty good.
Well, isn't the next best thing the Tamiya magnifiers?
They're very good. I lust after them actually.
What are Tamiya magnifiers? I haven't seen them.
So they're like a sort of typical sort of visory sort of deal.
Yeah.
But it comes with multiple lenses, and they all come in individual pouches for different magnification, and they're designed to go in front of your glasses.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't mind trying a jeweler's loop.
Look them up. You can find them online, and geez, they're nice.
I've tried a jeweler's loop. They're not that great.
Oh, aren't they?
Yeah. Bill brought one in, and it's not good.
Okay. Oh well.
You've got to be so close.
Yeah, fair enough. You got
Yeah, plus with having one of those things in your eyeball.
No, you can get them set on your glasses, so they come on the glasses.
Oh, I
and
thought
really
you meant
set
the
on
ones
them.
you've got to hold in your eye socket and then shake your fist going, Hogan!
Well, that's all I got from listening to mail. I think you've got something, haven't you, Julian?
Oh, yeah, so I got a...
you got a present.
I got a present from Tony.
On you, Tony.
And it came with a letter, and it came with some more writing. So I won't read both of them. I'll just read the one. Right. So it says, Julian, this is a spare I had So you can see what a good scriber really feels like. This is UMM's most aggressive scriber. I usually use their number 2 or number 3 for finer lines, but all are simple, effective, and built like real tools.
And it does look like a good scriber.
Yeah, it does. So what it looks like, I suppose you can take a photo
I
of
can
this.
take a photo and put it up on Facebook, when you finish
or maybe even throw up a link, because you can go to the website and peruse their tools.
Yeah.
It's about, I don't know, what's that, like 3-4 inches long or something?
No, not even that.
Not even that.
Yep, and it's sort of double-ended, so one end's
Looks like a chisel.
sort of like a chisel. I imagine it's more like a scraper.
Yeah.
Like it's not super sharp, it's a little bit blunt, right? You're not going to cut yourself too easily with it unless you use some force. But the other end is like a sort of typical sort of hook type scriber, where very sort of reminiscent of the Tamiya scriber, but without the large head that gets in the way whenever you need
tell
to
me
get in
about
the
it.
corners.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Really nice. It's a nice thick piece of steel. It's not going to bend in any way. I would look into more of this company when I get home.
So that was from Tony.
Yep, thank you,
who
Jack.
is the number 1 ticket holder of the Julian Fanboy Club.
There's more than one too. I've met them.
I know, there are a couple out there.
We got to give them a name.
No, I don't.
Julian Fanboy
We
Club.
can just call them fans of the podcast, all right? They're nice people. Don't make fun of them.
Call them
I'm also open to more gifts. That's all right.
Julianites.
No, but, jokes aside, thank you very much for that. It's I'll definitely put that to use.
Well, you're going to have to report back at the next podcast. So
So I could have used that last weekend.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can I have a look, and I'll take a picture of that and sort of post it on our page.
So you're not actually going to get it. Dave's going to keep it.
No, I won't. I'll give it back to him. He's right here. Okay, gents. So we dive in and have a look at what's new in the modelling world. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's see what's new.
Well, first up, we've got Hobby Boss has got 2 new kit announcements for September. They've got a Canadian Leo and an information gathering aircraft from China, which is in 1/144th scale, and it is known as a Chinese KJ-200. And essentially, it's a Russian transport plane which has got a...
It's got a mad boom on the top of it.
It's a bit like a Chinese version of an AWACS, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, except it doesn't have the rotating one. It's got the new sort of one which you see on modern
it
AWACS aircraft.
looks like it's got one of those gymnastics beams.
That's a very good way of describing it, actually, yeah. It's got a single men's bar on top.
Yeah, pommel horse.
I'm just imagining Nadia Comaneci on there.
But it's a great scale, 1/44th, and I know there's a few of us out there who enjoy building this. And the beauty about building these large aircraft in that scale is you can find somewhere to store them. So it looks quite comprehensive.
So does that interest you, Dave? That up your alley?
Yeah, possibly it does, actually. Yeah. I'm tracking down at the moment, trying to get my hands on a B-36 Peacemaker in 1/144th scale.
Okay. Who makes that?
Somebody does. Hobby Co, I think.
Right.
Was it Hobby Co? It was made back in 2008, 2006, so I've got to try and track it
I don't know.
down.
There's so many companies that have the word hobby in their name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Still on Hobby Boss, and as I said, they're doing a Leopard C1A1, which is a Canadian version of the main battle tank.
Leopard 1.
The Canadians had the Leopard 1, which they upgraded. And they've got some more armour on the side of the turret, modernisation. Took them across to Afghanistan and found they were wanting there, and so they ended up buying some Leopard 2s, I believe, as a result of their experience over in the sandpit.
You can see our Leopard 1 would be getting on in the years.
Oh, yeah. So I'm sure our Canadian friends will be very excited about this because it's got a black maple leaf decal and K4 decals, which you can whack on the side. So, yeah, should be rather cool. And the tracks are individual links. 160 individual link tracks.
Lovely.
Very good. Next up from the modelling news, we have some information about the with Wingnut Wings forthcoming new 32nd scale Hanover CL.II. Is that what it says?
CL2,
All right, thank you. All right.
which is the early version.
You gents want to have a talk about that?
It's a nice looking.
I don't know much about this particular aircraft.
Nah, me neither.
It's got a very unusual tail.
It is.
Yes, it's got a biplane tail.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, Airfix made this in 72nd scale. And,
Yes.
I actually hand painted the lozenge on it, which was looked pretty awful. But
Very
I was
impressed that you painted that in 1/72nd
Yeah.
scale.
The kit's apparently very nice, like all Wingnut Wings kits, and it's not that big, so I think would, I suppose people have already got the other Hanover, but if they want the early one,
Yep,
away they go.
that's right. Yeah.
So not really much to say about Wingnut Wings kits. They're just always good.
They're always They're always pretty spot on.
If getting
too.
very expensive now.
Oh yeah.
What? Expensive? In what way?
Well, like $326 for the latest Gotha.
Yes.
Yeah, but you look at the size of the aircraft you're getting. I mean,
I used to buy kits with pocket money, so I fixed my idea on how much kits cost.
Yeah.
Well,
But
yeah,
no,
I know.
look, it's a nice looking kit. It was typical. It's got 5 different paint schemes.
I must say, I like the way the German World War One did like a comet shape. Which
Yes.
is one of the schemes. Looks very attractive.
Yes.
well, at least you know what you're getting with the Wingnuts wing kit, aren't
Yes.
you? So the quality's up there, and it's always going to sort of be the same as the previous ones. And I'm sure a lot of the people who build Wingnut Wings kits will really look forward to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of Wingnut Wings kits, I know you're speaking on the last podcast. Had the news come out about exactly what the new kit was going to be?
Not as yet.
It was intimated what it might have been. Yeah.
Well, it has now come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they showed an engine cowling and
Yeah.
that was it.
It's the Hansa Brandenburg D1
Yes.
Star Strutter,
Yep.
which is quite disappointing, I think, because CSM, a Copper State Models, a small firm, had also a few days before announced their CADs. They've finished the CAD work on their own Hansa Brandenburg D1. So
Yeah.
it's just a real shame that two companies like Copper State Models and you, just a few guys working together,
Yeah,
and they're really very comparable in quality to Wingnut Wings. Just a shame they're both doing the same kit.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing is that obviously if they've got different schemes between the two model kits, because Cop State have got a good name for themselves in regards to their build quality, so it's just going to be down to the decals as to which one you purchase, really, isn't it?
You sort of feel though like they're going to be halving
Yeah.
the sales.
Well, I think the die-hard people who build that particular type of kit will, probably buy one from each.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Just buy one of each.
Yes.
Revell have got 4 announcements for this month. First of all, they have got a KISS tour truck in 1/32nd scale.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
32nd scale is a weird scale.
Well,
Yes.
everything Revell does in this scale is weird, let me tell you. That is some weird stuff, man. So after what's been over 45 years now, they're actually, when KISS toured, they're producing a truck with a great big decal down the side of the band. This is obviously used as one of their roadie vehicles travelling around the US, I guess. Yeah, if that some of the truck building guys will probably get really excited over this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good on them.
If they like
But you're
this.
right, it's a weird scale, isn't it?
Yeah.
I reckon this would probably be more appealing to KISS fans than truck fans.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're going to build it, so I don't see how it would appeal to them.
Oh, that dealing with that big
Decal.
decal. Oh, that's not a newbie's game.
Well,
No,
might-
definitely not.
Might be a sticky, you never know.
Mm.
Anyway, moving on. From Revell, still in Revell, in 1/144th scale, they're doing the Airbus 380-800 Lufthansa, which is a new livery. This is a big kit in 1/44th scale. The length is half a metre, and the wingspan is half a metre as well.
Wow.
Interestingly, the price, €29, or smack on €30, which is a really cheap price for a kit that big.
Yeah. Well,
That
but then
scale.
again, you look at it. A big airliner like that, there's not going to be that many pieces.
No, there's not, and there's a huge following out there, or special interest group guys who just sort of build airliners.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, that price there for a kit that size is quite a remarkable price, actually.
Yep.
Normally, you'd expect to pay about €60 for some of the larger sort of Russian aircraft that I've seen in that scale. So, And yeah, parts count looks to be quite large. I'm just trying to see if it actually tells us.
Well, they've just piled all the sprues on top of each other in the promotional photo.
Yeah,
I
unfortunately,
think probably
can't
was the
tell.
number of parts a little bit higher up, I think.
Yeah, one of
69. So 69 parts.
Yeah, for the Puma.
It's for the Puma.
Oh, for the Puma.
Yeah, because the next one is in 176 scale, and that must be a giveaway, gents. 176 scale
Matchbox.
is a SD KFZ 234/2 Puma.
Yep. So
One of the coolest looking 8-wheel vehicles, I reckon. From the
And
Second
I
World
think you
War.
might be right on the money there, Robert. It's a Matchbox reissue.
Well, when we see the
Or
sprues,
mould,
if it's
yeah.
got the little bent over light,
Well, they don't show the sprues. Oh, they do. Here we
It is.
go down there.
I built that as a kid, I remember.
Now,
It
that-
even comes with the base
Yeah.
well,
the
that's a dead
Matchbox
giveaway.
base.
Yeah,
Yep.
there you go.
and some figures. Yep.
Well, it's good to see some of these coming back because it's, not such a bad kit.
They were great for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Good way to cut your teeth.
Yeah.
Next, we have in 1/72nd scale the Avro Shackleton MR3. Now, I'm sure Airfix have done this in 1/72nd scale.
Yes,
They
they
did.
have.
It's
They-
apparently a different version.
Yes, it's the
Yeah.
MR2, I think, or MR1, the Airfix one.
I don't think there's a huge difference, to tell you the truth. I'll stand to be corrected on that.
More than likely.
Enough of a reason, though, to buy both kits.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. So this is going for €40 recommended retail price.
Yeah. 200,
And,
209 parts.
That's a fair way. It's a fair
fair
way.
few sprues.
So that'll keep you busy for a while. And unusually for Revell, the pictures they are showing of the built kit are quite nice. Normally they have really sort of poor photos of their finished kit. So this is quite well done, I must admit.
Hope the people at Revell aren't hearing that. They'll probably be quite hurt.
Well, because I've had this discussion before. They post pictures of their built kits and they look of painted. They look just really toy-like.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a picture of your kit, just build it and leave it bare. Don't have a picture of a kit that's been built and it looks very toy-like, or it just puts a modeler off. I reckon, from
I'm just
purchasing.
thinking someone at Revell is going, wait a minute, I build all the kits.
Probably.
Don't they look good?
Yeah.
Look, we've got a lot of listeners in Germany, so I'm hoping that somebody from Revell, Germany, is listening to this. And,
Yeah, they'll be crying now.
Just leave your kits bare plastic. The modelers
You
get
know
a
what
good
it is?
idea.
It's those guys from Revell that are listening right now going, that box we had put aside today, put it back on the shelf.
And finally from Revell, again in 1144 scale, is Embraer 190, which is also Lufthansa. Parts 55 and price is €15. Right. Mini-Art do some really odd, strange things. And this one in 135th scale is a German beer delivery car.
Yeah.
Now, I'm really impressed with this kit because if we drill down to the CAD drawings, it is an extremely detailed kit, even right down to underneath. You got the
It's
chassis.
got beer.
Well, they do sell beer with it as well. But
Scale beer.
the chassis, the running gear, the engine detail, it looks really, really, really fine sort of moulding. So it should really appeal to
And
those
what
guys.
scale is it? 32nd or 35th?
35th.
Oh, 35th scale, yeah.
Yep.
And you're right, Ian, it does come with a couple of dozen of plastic beer bottles.
Yep, in both
Fantastic.
green and brown
Yes.
glass. Yeah.
Mini-Art are a great company.
Now,
They do fantastic
They're a
work.
surprising company.
actually, just having a look at it, if it's going by the age of what that car would be, all those beer caps should have those, rather than have screw on or pop up, they should have those little pop off caps on the spring
No.
with the ceramic stopper.
That's Rivet counting with beer.
That's it, mate.
Okay, last on our list is Takeom, and they're not venturing, they're already in the 1/16th scale, but they've announced a couple of new ones in 1/16th scale. So they've already given us 2 Japanese Type 94 tanks, and now they're announcing a
Panzer one.
Panzer One.
in
Wow.
1/16th scale.
And importantly, an USF A.
Yes, the first of them.
So this is going to have working hatches, moving road wheels and suspension, photo etch and clear parts included, and 4 marking choices inside the box. You know, Tacom, again, this is another model company that's just going from strength to strength and just really, really impressing me. If I can just find out some more of the detail of the model they're going to release. No, that's all we know of it so far. Also, they're announcing the Imperial Japanese Army Type 94 tankette late production.
Chinese.
Sorry, Imperial Japanese Army.
It's captured Chinese one with a Chinese army figure.
In 1/16 scale also. What do you guys think about 1/16 scale?
Yeah. But I've got to admit that little Japanese tank looks like a lawnmower.
It's famously
About the size of a lawnmower.
Famously, there's a picture of one in with on the back of a Sherman.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen that photo, as a war prize. They've got one of those little tankettes on the back deck of a Sherman.
So it ain't big.
No, it's not big at all.
I wonder how they got it up there.
Oh, probably... Marines, probably half a dozen Marines just picked the thing up and put it on there.
Wouldn't take half a dozen Marines, would
No,
it?
don't take 4.
Don't take 4. Only 4, yeah.
It's funny, I was listening to our friends over on the Scale Model podcast, and Anthony Goodman was saying that the larger the scales, sometimes the more toy-like the models look.
Yeah, I agree.
So when you get up to like 1/16 scale, to his eyes, it sort of looks not like a model, it looks more toy-like. Mm-hmm. And yet if you sort of scale down and go down to 35th scale, 1/72nd scale, I guess he's talking about. I just wondered what you guys thought of that comment.
It depends on what you're talking about. If
Depends
you're talking
how
about,
it's built. Really,
Yeah,
it comes
well,
down to how
yeah.
it's built.
like with aircraft, I don't think it really suffer from that. But I think armour definitely does, because you've got large, flat, square surfaces with not a lot of detail apart from the occasional rivet or weld. You know, it's pretty hard to sort of weather those in a way that makes them look convincing, I think.
Well, I'd agree with him on all counts. I think anything really bigger than 32nd scale in aircraft starts looking toy-like, and bigger than 35th scale in armour. That's
just
me.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, my expectation when I see a tank in 1/16 scale, I'm looking for where the batteries go, and expecting it to sort of, be remote control.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I think as modelers, who have been in sort of scale modelling for a while, we're always wary that the larger things, as soon as they get large enough, you expect batteries and you expect them to fly and
have holes cut out in the floor for switches and so forth.
Yeah, and the sort of
up.
the compromises in the sort of scale model aspect, where they've gone, well, it has the body of a Mustang, but it's got like a part of the engine sticking out the front of the nose so that it can fly,
Yep.
Also, I think too with figures, when they starting to get big, they're becoming like doll size.
Yeah, like the battle Barbies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
What's a battle Barbie?
You see them online. People, they get these Barbie figures, I suppose, and put uniforms on them and paint their faces and put them in little dioramas, and they go bananas.
What,
over
real
it.
Barbies?
Well, I think they're Barbies.
No, but they're just called battle Barbies.
I believe they're made by Dragon, aren't they?
Yeah, apparently, I was reading last night, they're a big thing for Dragon. They're getting bigger than their kits. So we don't see them, but people collect them. And
Wow. 'Cause I've seen death dolls.
Death dolls.
Yeah, it's this weird thing where you buy these dolls and they come in like a coffin-shaped box, and they're already pre-made, so you don't have to sort of do anything. But it's like a collector's thing. And I used to work with a girl, and she used to collect them, and she had 40 or something. And
wow.
And her husband worked in...
Yeah, they did the same thing with teddy bears, little teddy bear figurines. Because I got one of them, a little teddy bear figurine, where he's ripped his face off.
Oh, that's nice.
So a happy little teddy bear with a skull, and he's holding his face.
Yeah, well, these death dolls would be like you'd have different vampire ones, a goth one, a zombie one, a whole heap of different range of them. And yeah, that's what she was into, collecting them.
Do you know what scale these battle Barbie things are? I
I
forgot.
think they're 16th scale, I think.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Or 6th scale. It's got a 6 in it.
6.
I think, I think it might be 1/6.
We're talking about what they were, where they were Barbies. Think Action Man, G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Because they're sort of modern.
And they got real
versions
clothes
of
on
those.
them, I believe, don't they?
As did Action Man and G.I. Joe.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
So-
really it's a bit it's getting a bit creepy to be
Yeah.
honest when I see it, because they'll do like full like reenactment kind of stuff. They'll have them out, like they'll take these gigantic German half tracks with all their Battle Barbie figures that are all in proper German uniforms, and they'll pose them outdoors, and it's a bit. So, but Battle Barbie is more like a I don't know, like a disparaging nickname,
Yeah.
Yes.
rather than an actual description.
Yeah, 'cause I typed in Battle Barbie and all I'm getting is Barbie. So, okay.
It wouldn't be the first time you've googled that.
No, it wouldn't be the first time. I Googled one thing and got a different result.
Yes.
All right, gents, I think we'll wind that up there. Hey, how's that?
Okay.
I've got some news.
Oh, beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Sorry. Have you guys got any? Oh, beg your
I
pardon.
certainly have.
Sorry.
I do.
Sorry.
I don't.
The big news for Ian,
Yes.
which is already sold out and he cannot buy it and get it anywhere. Airfix has released in 1/72 scale a Heinkel 111 H6 Motorhead.
Yes.
And as soon as I saw it, yes, I got to get one. Sold out. Gone.
I
Can't
know
get one
sold
anywhere.
out twice.
Yeah,
So,
gone. Can't get them. And I was like, really? Of all the kits?
and if anyone should have one, it should be you.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Because you're such a metalhead.
I'm a metalhead.
Yeah.
And the other kit, and I can't remember the name. But
So did you get one in the end?
No, I can't get one.
Maybe a kind listener will send one in.
Yeah, who knows?
Doubt that.
If anyone from Airfix is listening, hey. I showed this to Dave during the week. I can't remember the name. It was Joy something was the company name. And they're doing a 1:350 scale USS Missouri, I think it was. And the detail these guys are getting into 1:350 scale is incredible.
Yeah.
This is one of those kits you buy
Yep.
and don't worry about aftermarket.
Wow.
It comes with everything. It comes with its own aftermarket, everything. Wooden deck, the
Yep.
whole lot.
What's the price like?
Don't know yet.
Who
They're
cares?
doing the
It's a
Missouri.
ship.
I think they're doing
well.
they're doing the Missouri and another one of the large, well, similar to Missouri, I suppose. They're doing those two, and they're doing a Russian cruiser.
I was just disappointed that they've chosen Missouri because, it's...
It's
I guess-
famous. Everyone knows the
Yeah,
mighty Mo.
I get why they're doing that, but, I was just disappointed they're doing
But
Missouri.
everything's slide molded.
Yeah.
And you look at the hull. The hull of this thing shows each individual armor plating and each individual plating
In
the
1/350
in 1 to
scale.
300,
Yeah.
and they're all like overlapping, and all the weld beams, as much photo etch as they can throw in.
So I don't know 350 scale ships. Is that new? That showing all the armour plates and
Pretty
stuff?
much. Usually it's just like, if you're lucky,
Yep.
you might get an engraved line or maybe a step.
Right.
But to actually show each individual
So-
panel,
So to give you an idea, Robert, this is the 1/350 scale version of a wigged up wings Lancaster
Oh,
detail.
right. Yep.
So I've got the name of the company here. It's called Joyyard Hobbies.
that's it,
Yeah, that's it,
Joyyard
Joyyard
Hobbies.
Hobbies.
Yes. Check them out online. Go on their page, and they've got a section there which is their news.
Yep.
And you go through their news and go, it's about 6 or 8 pages, and it goes through all the setup and it shows all the individual parts. And I was totally blown away and got, I've got to get this when it comes out. It is
So it's only CAD so far, right?
only. Oh, they've done a few test molds.
Oh, have they?
Yep, and it looks very, very promising.
And also, Trumpeter, I forgot to mention, are doing in 1/350 scale the very first American carrier, the USS Langley.
Yes, that should be out soon.
So that'll be a must-have for Dave.
Yes.
Think of the rigging on all those planes.
Well,
No monoplanes on that one.
no, I'll be putting planes in it.
Yeah, but not monoplanes, they won't be.
No, they won't.
What was the other one I was thinking of? No, I totally lost it. Totally
Well,
forgot.
I imagine like the
Forgot.
reason why that the Langley hasn't been done before is just because it's a very intricate sort of model, isn't it?
No, not really.
Because it's got. I thought it was like, because it's not like a modern carrier where the hull goes all the way up to the deck, is it?
No. This is just
Yeah,
a
yeah.
normal. I think it was like a cruiser or something.
Yeah,
like that. And they just
cruiser.
Retrofitted, yeah.
retrofitted. Yeah.
Collier or something.
Yeah, so there's a lot of sort of intricate detail there that you couldn't necessarily build in plastic.
Yes.
perhaps.
True, but a lot of it's sort of not hidden, but it's going to be masked by the deck. So it'll be interesting to see what aftermarket stuff comes out to support it, because that'll be the make or break for it.
Another one, and sorry guys, I totally forgot the name of the company. I saw them on Facebook, and they do 3D resin figures in all different scales, and they've got really nice 1/24 scale US Navy pilots
Oh, okay.
in different positions.
It's
to
not
go.
reed oak, is it?
Oh, could be. I'm not too sure, but they're really nice figures. And they go really well with the Hellcat, of course, on that scale. So, yes.
You're going to build that one day?
Yeah, I've still got to get more. There's all the wheels and that are coming out now. All the aftermarket wheels. I remember when I first saw it, I said this thing needs aftermarket wheels. Well, all the wheels are coming out now. So
there you go.
Sort of get the wheels. I was going to buy an Edwards set for the wheel wells. There's like a wheel well set, but it's really good if you're going to have the wings folded because that shows a lot more detail. But with the wings down, you're not going to see this. I'm not going to bother about getting that one.
Yep.
You're going to have to live a very long time, Ian, to do all the models.
No, just get to retire, really, that's all.
Yeah.
Win Tatsalata and retire and just build models.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just hide away somewhere and just build models the rest of my life.
What about you, Rob? You got any news?
Well, whenever I come here, I like to bring some news. So
Yes.
I have got quite a bit of news.
Very good.
Cool.
Right. I did put at the top. I knew you guys would mention the Motorhead ones, but I thought if you've forgotten.
Even one of our listeners said that Ian has to get that.
Yeah.
It was who was it? Was it Rob?
Oh, I can't
I
remember.
can't think of who pointed that and said, "Oh, Ian's got to get this one." And I thought I had to laugh because obviously they know Ian so well.
Okay. Well, starting off from Micromere, in 30-second scale, they're doing a Miles M14 Magister, which is the
training aircraft.
training aircraft. So
yeah.
just cowed at this point.
Hadn't Airfix done that in
70
seconds
I
scale?
don't know that they have. I think maybe Frog did it.
I know somebody
Yeah,
did
Frog
it.
did.
I know
Frog.
Classic Airframes did one in 48 scale, but it's long gone.
Yeah, okay.
Also from Micromere is this is one for Ian. I think you should do this, Ian, because
Yep.
it's Dutch and you have the Dutch heritage. It's a Fokker G1A Yacht Cruiser, and it's the twin boom, twin engine World
Yes.
War II fighter.
Yep.
And it's just about to come out now.
What
They've
scale?
talked about it. It's 48 scale. So
That's the one that had about nearly 10 guns in the
I think
nose.
it's got 8.
Oh, 8 guns.
On the
yeah.
box art too, all the guns are firing. It's just like this line of fire.
So who makes that again?
That's
Micromere.
Micromere.
Okay.
Russian company.
And they're also doing a Supermarine S5, the racing plane.
Yes, the predecessor to the Spitfire.
I think we all remember the S6 from Airfix.
Yeah.
And I think this is a bit prettier actually. So, but they're apparently going to do the S6 as well. So that's coming up.
Lovely.
Also, sort of from Micromere, but it's AMP seem to be their helicopter wing of Micromere.
And used to be their submarine wing too.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
AMP,
right.
Yep.
Well, they're doing a Boeing YL-15 Scout, and this is a little tiny weird plane. Only made about 15 of them, US plane, obviously being Boeing. And I think the reason AMP are doing it because it looks like a helicopter with wings. It's like the shape of it's got a weird boom tail and all that. But it's just it's one of those things people would either like it or not.
The oddball ones.
Yeah. But their helicopter kits are fantastic. They do Bristol Sycamore, Dragonfly.
Stuff that's it's impossible to find elsewhere.
Well, that's right. In the bridges of Toko Ree, Mickey Rooney.
Yes.
The Green Hat, they do that helicopter as well. So there's, if you really, I suppose people that know helicopters would know about them, but they look really good. And they also, one of the ones, the Sycamore, they do an Australian boxing, which has RAAF, Royal Australian Navy, and they do a Thorn Atlas one, which is like a flying billboard one, which is looks really interesting and got all the colours good. And I remember Thorn because we had a Thorn TV set. When I was
Yes. Good old Thorn.
It also had a channel changer.
Yeah.
That worked by sound, and we used to keep over the kids. It stopped working and to go donk donk. But whenever Mum would use the egg beater, it would just change channels.
Love it.
Okay, moving on. Dora Wings, another company I really like.
Yes.
I think from Ukraine, and they have it's like ready to go now. A Marcel Bloch MB-151 fighter from World War II. Looks like a really nice kit. They're doing a 152 and a 155 as well. But the 151 kit's coming out now. There's 4 schemes, 3 Battle of France, 1 Vichy France. And sadly, they were getting a lot of help to do it by a French modeller. I didn't put his name down, I should have. And he's sadly passed away, so didn't get to see it. But a well-known French modeller, And they give a shout out to him on the instructions, which is nice.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
And Zvezda have their 72nd scale Petyakov PE2, which seems to be like a shrunk down version of their fantastic 48 scale kit.
Mm-hmm.
So if people in 72nd scale like detail, they're going to like this kit.
I love it. Cool.
Right. Over the page. Resin to Detail are doing a 48 scale Lockheed P2V Neptune.
Oh.
And this is in resin and vac form. The main parts will be in vac
yuck.
form. you can't get one otherwise.
Yeah, I know.
No,
I know.
Try getting a Neptune.
And
Yeah.
a good vac form can come up well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's okay. Now, Wingsy kits have got a new version.
Hang
of
on,
their-
just back to the Neptune.
right.
So what model is it? Which
It just says P2V at this point.
so is that the one the Australian Air Force flew?
Wouldn't have a clue. You'll have to look that
I
one
don't know.
up.
Obviously, there'll be some listeners out there who'll know
Yes,
whether it was.
They will.
But I'm sure we definitely had Neptunes.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but no idea what the decals comes with it or anything like that.
I'm sure it will come with decals. It seems to come with
Yeah.
everything.
It's quite a good aircraft by all accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What lasted for a long time, used by heaps of people.
absolutely.
Okay, moving on. Wingsy kits have a new version of their Mitsubishi Key 51 Sonia in 48 scale. It's got a pointy spinner. It's got windows, a little bit different. Interestingly enough, Wingsy were asking on Facebook whether they could do another even earlier version with a different canopy and the antenna in a different spot. Everyone says, no, we've had enough of them. Do something else. So the people have spoken.
Yes, listen to the people.
Yeah.
Clearprop have got a 72nd scale Mitsubishi A5M 2B late coming out.
Great name for a model company. Clear
It is
Prop.
good, yeah.
Clear Prop.
They actually put out the early version, and I think you might remember it. They had really nice, interesting thing on YouTube of all the parts coming together.
Yes.
Now, the interesting thing is the new kit coming out is an advanced kit rather than an expert kit. So instead of having resin, it comes just using the plastic engine, which apparently is really good anyway. And it's going to be cheaper, which is good because I know it was going for $52 Australian.
For a 72nd scale
Yeah.
kit, which is and it's a Claude, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is a tiny aircraft.
Yeah,
to
tiny
begin with.
aircraft to begin with. Yeah.
And I might mention this too. Chris, one of the guys at the club, bought his,
Yeah.
and it was missing all the resin and all the extra bit of parts. So
Ouch.
God.
I'm not sure if that's been resolved yet. But
Yeah.
hadn't the last time I saw him. From model, also from Clearprop, in 1/44th scale, they're also doing a Sonia, Key 51 Sonia, and that will come out at E-Day on September 28th. So is that probably a bit early for you? You tend to like later stuff, don't you?
Yeah, I tend to. Yeah. I struggle with wanting to build Japanese aircraft. It just doesn't grab me.
What about the float plane you built? That didn't.
Yeah, that
The
did. But
Emily.
you know what? I'd rather build the modern Japanese float
Yeah.
plane. I can't think of the name of it now.
Shinmowa.
Yeah, I mean that interests me more than. But you know,
Oh well.
I built that one because I got given it for
Yeah.
free. So and I was told you can only have it if you build it. So I built it.
But the Emily looked quite advanced.
Oh, the Emily
for
was a
its age.
fantastically advanced
Yeah.
aircraft.
Yeah.
For its age, yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I think we spoke about it the last one. Was the Emilys that did the second attack on Pearl Harbor
Correct.
back in I think it was May or March of 42.
Not quite as successful as the first one.
No.
No.
Bit of a nuisance raid more than
Yeah.
anything. I think of more of a nuisance to the actual Japanese than it was to the Americans.
Yes.
Okay, I've got a couple more.
Please go on.
From Models Vit. There's
Yep.
a 1/72nd scale, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Myasishchev M55 Geophysica.
Yes, if chef.
Okay.
which is what?
Wait a second.
What?
So Dave, the one of us who pronounces things wrong the most often, somehow has the correct pronunciation of a word he's never heard before.
Duh.
It's Russian.
Russian.
He's a Russian spy. He's
you gotta
a
put-
sleeper cell.
He's a sleeper.
Yes, if
Yeah, apparently, this thing's a weird plane. I think it's like a mapping plane. It looks a bit like a U2 with twin booms. It's very odd.
Okay.
But anyway, it looks like a nice kit. And that's ready to go now.
Oh, cool.
Also coming from Sword Models in 48 scale is a Reggiani Ray 2005 Sagittario.
Ah.
I like Italian planes. 72nd scale though, right?
48.
48.
48th.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They were showing sprues of it, short run kit, but looks Sword do nice short run kit, so that looks good.
See, I reckon to do a short run kit, you need to sell a minimum of about 5,000 units.
I think they sell less, and I think they make money on it.
I don't see how, because this is injection molding, right?
Yeah.
So you're
But
looking
cheap.
at
Injection moulding's cheap as chips.
no,
The
it's
most
it's
expensive,
the mold.
the most expensive part is your box.
It costs you a bomb to actually produce. We should have somebody in from plastic.
Exactly.
Some plastics, plastic company. It's the mold that costs
Yeah.
the money.
Yeah.
But the idea that it used to cost $250,000 per model,
Oh,
that's
no.
plummeted.
Yeah,
since
yeah.
then.
But it's still up around. So if you or I wanted to go and produce a mold, it'd still cost us anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000.
Yeah.
$10,000 to $40,000 for a mold.
Well, I mean, it's not like the old days where they would have to sculpt it and, somehow make a master and then from there make the molds. And nowadays it's like you have CAD, you have a CNC machine, you just set it going and it just cuts it out for you.
Yeah, but you still need a master to come and once you've done your test shots to come back and do the fix-ups. And that's not something that the computer can do or a CAD machine. You've got to get somebody in who's skilled at doing that work. I can't think of the name. Not a jeweler, right? They're
Toolmaker.
Toolmaker. Thank you, Ian. And you also a lot of these molds are made in aluminium now. The backing still is steel, but it's aluminium. So aluminium ain't an easy material to work with when you're trying to build it back up and that sort of stuff to put detail back in. So. You know what? We should have a hunt around from somebody to come from a plastics manufacturing.
That would be absolutely
company
fantastic. If you can arrange that would be great.
Yeah, I will.
I just might add too with the short run kits like Sword. I think they.
So sorry, I did interrupt, and that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
So to get your money back, so if you spend $10,000, and like I said, I agree with you. The boxing is the expensive part. Then you got to ship it, and you got to find someone to distribute. I mean, you've got to make some money on it. You need at least $5,000 to sell.
The thing about the kits from the short run guys is they might use resin molds.
Yeah.
I understand
Okay.
they resin and then maybe they somehow attach metal to that, I suppose.
Right.
Some special
I don't
version.
know.
And I know they're resin, so that costs a lot less.
Mm.
And that's why you might find that they'll do a run of them and that's it because the
mold
can't
won't
use the
last
mould
up.
again.
Yeah. The mold won't cope with it.
And also they don't. When you get a short run kit, especially in the old days,
You don't want to be the number, the one right in the end that you get.
That's right. Yeah. And also they weren't too worried whether they fit great because sometimes you might get different size fuselages and.
Oh yes, we've come across that, haven't we? Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Now here's something I think this is quite interesting. There's a firm called JetMads, and they're about to release.
Is that JetMad? MAD?
Yes, JetMads with an S on the
Okay.
end. Now, they're about to release a 32nd scale D5581 Sky Streak, which is an American test plane, like in when they're doing the X planes.
Yeah,
Yep.
the X aircraft. Yep.
So that's coming out. They're from Turkey, and this is a resin kit. They're going to be $128. Now, what they have spoken about is what they're going to do. This is their plans for other kits. And I thought I'd just run through you.
Please do.
Them. So they're talking about doing this is in 32nd scale, a D5582 Skyrocket, which looks quite differently. Dassault MD450 Uragan.
Oh, that's something that needs to be done in that scale.
An SNCA SO 9000 Trident.
Yes.
A Learjet C21A.
In
32nd scale.
32nd scale,
And in resin.
Learjet. Wow.
Yeah. A McDonnell FH1 Phantom.
Yeah.
And
the early Phantom.
Yeah.
and an X3 Stiletto.
Stiletto were, I
geez.
reckon, one of the most awesome looking aircraft and probably one of the most dangerous aircraft.
It's so pointy.
Yeah.
That's why it gets the name Stiletto.
Yeah. But they're doing in 18th scale, they're planning on doing a Douglas A4 Skyhawk, a Cessna A37 Dragonfly, and a Northrop F5A Freedom Fighter.
Wow.
So,
Bit of a
and
Vietnam kick there, isn't it?
Yeah.
we're on to 72nd scale. They're doing a Raytheon Sentinel R1. I don't know what that is.
A Raytheon Sentinel, I think that's a missile.
Is it?
I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure
know.
Raytheon make missiles.
Raytheon is the name of they do.
Missiles.
Yeah.
Be a small missile in 72nd scale.
Yeah, I would have expected that it would have been something else.
But I'm probably wrong.
Yeah. Well,
When am I not?
we'll go and have a look during the break and come back.
Okay, they're also doing a C-141B Starlifter,
Oh, in what scale?
72nd scale.
Oh, it's going to be huge.
And I don't know what this is. Is this Australian? An E7A Wedge Tail.
Yes, it is Australian.
Yes.
Yep, in 72nd scale.
Yep.
Oh, geez, the local boys will lap that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Because you can only get it in, I believe you're going to get it in 1/144th scale with
Right.
some modifications from our friends at Red Roo, maybe.
Yep.
I think. Stand corrected on that.
Good old Red Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, in 1/72nd scale, that'll get lapped up.
Yeah.
And they'll make a big kit too.
It would, yeah.
Good space
and
on
the
this.
Starlifter.
Oh, Starlifter. Jeez, it'd be huge.
I just wonder how they're going to go with resin. I mean, these long wings and
Oh, they're going to do
there's in resin.
Oh, you'd have to have some supporting
Yeah,
mechanism
a
in
lot
there.
of times now with the resin, they actually put like a brass rod.
Yeah.
Also, too, there's resin and resin. There's different sorts of resins that
It's hard
things.
resin and soft
Well, that's
resin.
like I remember when I can't remember how many years ago I built me Triebflugel, and that's the Planet Models one. And everyone always said, "Oh, those little wings are going to droop."
Yeah.
Haven't moved.
Good old.
Haven't moved in, I don't know, 5 years or whatever long it's been since I built the thing.
Wow.
And they like little wings with little rocket pods on the end, so you think they're going to start to droop.
Yeah.
No, nothing.
There you go.
Still nice and straight.
Well, forget to 48, the main scale. They're doing a Tupolev 2-128. That's TU. But I was told you would know, being Russian.
Yes.
You got to say 2, not TU.
Correct.
The Russians laugh at
Two.
you.
Yep.
Yes.
Dark comrade.
So they're doing the TU 128 Fiddler. I can't say it.
Fiddler.
They're doing
That's
a
NATO code name, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing a Lockheed P2V5 Neptune
Oh, what scale?
48.
in 48 scale.
Jeez.
So there's 2 48 scale Neptunes coming,
Wow.
and I think the best one of all, Boeing B-47B Stratojet,
In 48.
48 scale. Another one for you, Ian.
Oh, I love the Stratojet.
Have to live till
Well, I'll tell you what,
200.
it's great in 144th scale.
Ah, it's too small.
No, it's gorgeous.
He's a 48 scale modeler.
48 scale, that is going to be huge.
Not as big as the 48 scale Peacemaker that I
HPM?
HPM.
HPM, yeah.
Bought out. Remember when that came out? Oh,
Yeah,
I'd
you were
love
gonna-
to get
you were gonna
that.
get it.
I was going to get one and looked at the price and then looked at the size of it and gone, no.
But you emailed them though, didn't you?
Yeah,
You went as far as that, you went further than I went.
yeah. But once I figured out the size, look, the price, yeah, fair enough. I could live with the price, but where the heck are you going to put a 48 scale
absolutely.
Peacemaker?
Well, Rob, that's a fairly ambitious
Yes,
listing from that particular company. So what they say and what they put out are two completely different things.
That's true. There's the note. There's another Turkish company that bring out plastic kits that have been fairly well received. I'm just trying to think
I
what it
can't
is.
remember, no. Don't
No.
know.
Yeah, they're doing a Buccaneer, and they brought out a Thunderjet, which was really nice.
Say that while holding your tongue.
Which
Buccaneer.
Buccaneer, right.
Yeah, hold your tongue.
I boot it. No, I can't be. I'll have to beep it out.
Exactly. Boom,
The
boom.
funny thing is I tried to win it.
There's one more thing left. It's a ship.
Oh,
Imperial Hobby Productions, I've not heard of before. Apparently they're similar in quality to Flighthawk. They're doing a 700 scale, so that's was interest for you guys. Is an HMS Colossus, light fleet carrier from World War II.
Oh,
Yes, I've
yes, we
seen
already
that,
know aware of
yes.
that one.
Oh, you've heard
Yes,
of that one.
yep,
yes.
yep. Some
So-
of our Callum, our
Our 1/700 scale expert.
yep,
Right.
Callum McDonald.
he's right. He's all over that.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
I could have left that one out.
Yeah.
There's one
That's
one
okay.
thing I haven't got on the list, but I did remember. Mini Art are bringing out another version of the auto gyro. It's the Focke-Wulf C30 hoist wrecker,
yeah.
which is effective. It's exactly the same kit with new decals. So you can do German ones instead.
Cool.
And Master Box is also releasing another Apocalypse figure set.
Yes.
Yeah. 5 girls fighting.
Yes.
Hey.
Scrag fight.
Yes.
Oh dear. We ready to start talking about rivet counters?
Yeah.
Sure.
Have a quick break first, shall we?
Great. Yep.
Yep.
All right, we'll be back soon, folks.
Yes.
Okay, we're back, but before we actually go into it, I've done a quick look, and a Raytheon Sentinel is actually an aircraft.
Oh, I was so far off the mark.
So there you go.
They
How's
fly.
that for interest? Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we're talking about rivet counters. Are they the white noise of the modelling community, or are they an undervalued asset?
Undervalued asset.
Oh, yeah. And Ian's out of the starting blocks already. There you go.
I would agree with that.
Oh,
Ian.
Yep.
Are you a rivet counter?
I suppose I am. I try when I build my models, I try and make them as accurate as I can
Yeah. Well-
to a certain degree.
Yeah,
I think
to a
rivet-
certain degrry.
I think rivet counters get a bad rap.
I also agree.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it because people confuse them with arseholes?
Yeah.
Come
Well,
right out
that's
and say it.
one way of putting it. Yes.
Yeah.
I think you'll probably find it's the odd guy out there that's a rivet counter that likes to tell everyone, "Oh, your stuff looks crap because it's not realism enough," and they're the ones that bring everyone else down.
I actually heard a guy talking about they had a young bloke come to their club, and they said, a couple of rivet counters were criticising his model and drove him away. Now, you're a rivet counter, I'm a rivet counter. We don't criticise people's models. That's just someone, as Julian would say, those were arseholes.
Yeah.
And just mean people. And
Yeah. Well, there's
Yeah, I mean,
there's nothing wrong with the way, as I tell everyone, build as you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And if that means just building it out of the box, choosing whatever colours you want, go for it. As long as you get the enjoyment out of it.
Well, even short of the assholes, there are always going to be those people out there who are, maybe they're not building as prolifically as they used to be, and they feel they've got a lot of knowledge and they want to show it off, and they're not really too concerned with how many people they step on doing so. They just want to feel a bit superior.
Yes.
A bit of an ego to them,
Yep.
People tend to be a bit sort of, they don't take into account like how people are going to take things, right?
No social skills.
Yeah, no social skills.
I think that, rivet counters, and I think it's a bit of a malign sort of term. I think we need to sort of maybe reframe it and come up with a sort of different name for it rather than rivet counters, because it's quite derogatory when you sort of say it in that way.
Yeah, I feel that. It's always been used derogatorily.
I mean, I'll willingly go and seek out somebody who's a specialist in the area. Like, for example, you, Robert, with your French tanks.
Right.
You're the only expert I know on French tanks.
Yeah,
So
expert's going a long way.
well, you know a damn sight more than anybody else I know.
I'm interested, yeah.
And you've gone through all the pain of sort of building and researching and all that. So if I was to build or wanted to build a French tank, I'd certainly be coming to you and asking your advice first, and colour schemes and all that sort of stuff, because I know you heavily research that. So if you call change the term rivet counter to something like I'm trying to think of a term that
An expert.
well, not expert, because that's then
Well,
implying
that's what they use on the news. They'll bring in some guy who you don't know what their level of expertise is, but they'll call him an expert in whatever their field is.
But see, I'll go to Robert and I'll say, hey, I'm wanting to build this particular sort of tank, and what colour schemes, etc. And he'll make a recommendation based on his research and everything. But
Usually not very helpful recommendation. But
yeah, but I'll still walk away from that in the comfort knowing that I can then do my interpretation of it without Robert turning around and having a crack at me about it. You see what I'm saying?
Also, timing is an issue, right? Because if you're going to give advice, you want to know before you build it.
Yeah, nothing worse than finding
Yes.
out when you finish something and
Yeah.
someone says, that's completely wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I imagine a lot of people who post on forums and things, they'll only post up the photo once they've finished it. I've got something finished. I want to show what I've done, rather than I'm starting this build. Does anyone have any tips and things to look out for? Does anyone know if this is the best kit? What issues are there to solve in it? A rivet counter will be able to tell you these things, but there's no good after the fact.
yeah. Although sometimes I have found it after the fact and then modified the partially completed model with the new information, which is not ideal. Not ideal.
But the other good thing with what I find with rivet counters, a good thing about them is they're keeping the model companies on their toes.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Because they without rivet counters, the model companies would just still be producing those crappy Airfix kits from the 1970s.
All the frog kits.
Well, some of those old frog kits weren't too bad. But you know what I mean. So they're the ones that are forcing companies to go that extra step.
Yeah, to do their due diligence, right?
Exactly.
As they say.
Yeah, I mean, because... And then it comes... And see, this is such an interesting subject, because it comes down to, okay, when we purchase a model, do we have an expectation that is going to be an exact representation of the real thing? Or being a model, is it an approximate representation, which then allows you to do your artistic additions or whatever to reproduce it in your eyes as you see it?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and you also got to expect that some things can't really be done realistically. For instance, to add some rivets on a certain face of a part would mean having to do a slide mould, which would add enormously to the cost. And, maybe some things you can do yourself. I mean, you can't expect model companies to do everything for you.
Yeah.
But what I do like is to get the shapes right.
Yep.
If they get the shapes right, then that's...
You can work around it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
But-
no one really wants to cut a big hole out of their plane and then fill it up with epoxy putty and then reshape an entire nose or something.
That's
Which
for
I've
sure.
seen people do.
Nah.
Jeez, I've done it myself.
Yeah.
See, another thing is like, I'll challenge anybody, and this is interesting because I've been having a discussion with Brad, who's a listener, and he's been helping me out with some research for Australian M113 buckets, which I eventually want to get around the building. And, you know, he's sending me a whole heap of really great information, and I said, well, but what about the colour? Because, you know, there's olive drab and there's olive drab. And he wrote back, well, there's olive drab and then there's olive drab. If you have a version of olive drab that I'm going to paint it in, geez, you'd have to be really on your game to come in and have a crack at me and saying, well, that olive drab isn't necessarily 100% correct, because I can then show you about 10, 20 different photo colours where the olive drab looks different. And again, it's depending on how the sun's shining on it and all these other effects, blah, 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 blah. And even the paint manufacturer, the tint of the paint sort of changes from, you know, year to year.
Yep.
It's, as much as there is a standard for paint, even within that standard, there's going to be a range of slightly different tints to it. I mean, God, you know, look at the knots that some people put themselves into. I know with building ships and trying to get the different American measure colours sort of right. And Ian's having the chuckle over there. You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you, Ian?
Oh, not just the colours. It's accuratising a crappy old trumpeter destroyer escort.
Yeah.
Like, I really went overboard with the rivet counting on that.
Yeah.
In
But
one
you-
to 350 scale.
If you have the skills, you end up with a beautiful model, though.
Yeah.
Well, I'd go so far as to say then, gents, and this is my thoughts, that we should re-embrace the word rivet counter as a good thing.
Right.
And anybody who sort of comes up and, like Ian said, after you've built it, go, oh, that's wrong. We shouldn't classify them as a rivet counter. We should call them for what he is, and that's just an arsehole.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yep.
Don't you
I
think?
Agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
An arsehole is an arsehole is
Yeah,
an
well,
arsehole.
there are. I mean, like, when all river counters tend to be more focused on the physical portion of the model, right? The construction side of things.
The accuracy level.
Yeah.
In comparison to the
but
real
they're
life
they're not so much
representation.
the kind of people to pay too much attention to colours that much, right?
Oh, they are.
Oh,
Oh,
they
God,
do.
God, yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, but if you press them on it, they might say, okay, well, this olive drab is a more accurate olive drab. And it's like, you can say, well, is that before or after you've got dust and fading
Yeah,
and all that sort of
yeah.
stuff on it, right? And then they shrug, and they know that they can't take it any further.
Yep.
They can't argue back. But I mean, so things that they tend to stick to is more construction. That's why they're called rivet counters, right? The rivets, the lines, the shapes, the features.
No, I'll agree to you up to the point. I think there's the rivet counters there's rivet counters who are really concerned about what you're saying, the physical construction, but there's
But
also
they got less strength in their arguments when it comes to colour because it's so subjective.
well, that's what I was saying earlier on. Because even a tank that's produced in 1965 and came out of the factory and hasn't been repainted for 10 years, that paint's going to fade and have different effects and scratch marks, etc., etc. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like you can sort of enlist some sort of artistic license when it comes to the paint side of things, because you know there's especially with the weather. Once weathering goes on, then they've got no hope. You know?
I will say, as a rivet counter, my thing is actually more for the physical stuff rather than the paint. I mean, I want that to be accurate as well, but I sort of think, I look at a model and think, does this thing work? How is that part held on if there aren't rivets or bolts on it that have been left off in when they've made the model? You see in aircraft, all aircraft have seatbelt in. I mean, they don't work without a seatbelt. Be like not having wheels. I mean, all aircraft.
Yeah.
So for me, that's just part of the realism of it, is putting those things that they have.
But how do you reconcile that with being, from your own personal point of view, wanting to be 100% accurate in the down to the nuts and bolts of the actual aircraft against the paint, and you're quite happy to let the paint slide and be a little bit off?
Well, like I say, I like to do both. I think they tend to go together. I know there are some people who are just about the colours, and they really it's just the model is just somewhere to put their paint, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, but I just, also with me, like one thing they used to, Ian would remember, used to be called advanced modeler syndrome.
Yes.
So I was uncomfortable
AMS.
with that. I felt advanced modeler syndrome. I didn't feel like an advanced modeler, but I was a worried modeler. So I've come up with a new thing. It's called modeller's anxiety disorder, or MAD. Because I get anxious if I know something's not right.
Yeah.
I cannot live with it. I will either, if I can't fix it, well, I won't make the model.
Yeah, that's just like spending a whole day and night just doing model building and then making that big mistake of just going straight to bed. Guaranteed you won't sleep.
Yeah.
Or putting tomato tape on decals.
Well, that's something silly, but
It's a sleepless night, both cases.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I do that. I used to get caught out like that all the time, like do it all day and half a night, and then I better get it's 2 o'clock in the morning, better go to bed. Go to bed. You're just lying in bed, and you're just thinking what your next step in that model kit is.
Oh, you did it too?
Yeah, and you just
Oh,
don't get no sleep. Yeah, you don't get
I thought
no
I was
sleep.
quite mad because I was the only one who did it.
No, so you just get up again and just go back to the bench.
No, I'm not that crazy. You don't get up and go back to the bench.
Oh, yeah,
No.
yeah,
We're
No.
a weird mob, aren't we?
we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
See,
No.
I don't. These things that you're talking about now, I can't relate to. I've had moments like that about video games growing up, but they're very few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
Models, I haven't had one of those yet.
No?
I've got a long way to go, right? There's time yet. But no, I haven't had one
You
of
want
those.
to have sleepless nights? Build yourself a 1 to 350 scale aircraft carrier, and have to have a certain data has to be finished on.
Okay.
Guaranteed you have a few sleepless nights, mate.
Well,
The deadline for sure.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
well,
a killer.
I haven't had one of those moments yet. But I'm not a rivet counter, but I do enlist the help of rivet counters. Like I accept that there's a place for them in the modelling community, and they're people that you need to turn to when you don't know yourself and you can't be bothered looking it up yourself. Right? That's what
Yes.
I'm not going to drill through pages after pages of
forum
posts just to find that one.
Or you just spend a day like I spent last weekend. I spent one day on the computer just trying to chase up the correct colours on this buffalo all day, and I didn't come to a conclusion after a whole day online.
But did you enjoy the process and have fun doing it? Oh,
it was driving me nuts because I want to freaking paint this thing and at least be able to put a photo up on your Facebook page. Yes, I'm building this thing. Here's a photo proof. But
see, this is why I enlist rivet counters, right? Because I really don't want to end up in that position where you think that by doing more homework, it'll converge and you'll find the answer, when in fact it diverges, and they're like, well, it could have been this and it could have been that.
which is done
we
now.
don't really know.
Yeah, which is done now for me with the 3 interior colours to choose from.
That's funny. Yeah, so I'll tend to rub it for some French tank stuff and Japanese plane stuff. More the Japanese plane stuff because I haven't built any French tanks properly yet. But I'll turn to other people we've had on this podcast for expertise.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's because another thing is as someone who's sort of grown up in the internet age, not everything's on the internet. There are a lot of things that you can't find out
Jeez, Robert,
there.
we used to have to write letters, didn't we?
Yeah, and buy books.
And buy
all the
books
we
and
bought.
write letters and put stamps on envelopes.
But see,
and
even
send
in
them
the
overseas.
books, and we've discussed this before, even books can be wrong as well.
Well, that's
so
true.
Oh, yeah.
resting your laurels on a book and saying, "Oh, this is a definitive, answer to my question on this particular aircraft," you can be caught out.
And you're never going to find out that the book is wrong unless you go on the internet, right?
What? Or unless another author sort of pops up and says, "Well, actually, my research shows it was actually." I mean, the TA, the Focke-Wulf TA
152
with the stripes underneath them.
No, that's the Focke-Wulf 190.
Beg your pardon, the
D9.
The D9, yeah.
D9, D13s.
I mean, that's a classic one, isn't it, with the stripes underneath it? Now, red and white and
Well, as I said in a very, very early podcast, there's also the rumour that they were yellows, greens, blues. Thus, the name Papa J stuff, or Papa J was the German word for parrot.
yeah.
And that's all the parrot colours on the bottom of the aircraft. Not that it made any difference if
No.
a German anti-aircraft gunner during that time of the war saw an aeroplane in the sky. It didn't matter who it was; he was going to shoot it.
Yes, exactly right.
It doesn't matter how Larry you paint the bottom of your plane. Your own people are still going to shoot at you.
On the balance of probability, it's probably going to be an enemy aircraft anyway at that stage of the war, so just shoot it.
Exactly.
Oh, jeez.
Well, here's a question for you, Anne. How do you deal with uncertainty in modelling? Like having trouble with the colours. How do you resolve it in the end?
What I do in the end is I go for the most popular answer.
Popular answer.
The
right,
most
okay.
popular. Sometimes that can be wrong.
Right.
So you go with a herd.
Go with what I deduce to be most, like you get like two
Yeah.
people say this way, and then a few other people say no, do it that way, and a few other people say do it that way.
Mm.
Well, I'll look and I'll go, well, he seems to know what he's talking about. He's just pissing in the wind, and and this guy's, well, I don't know what planet he's from, but so I'm going to go with the number one,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
guaranteed when it's finished, a couple of months down the track, new information will come out, and I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've made your peace at that point, right? You're like, well, I did it as accurate as I could at the time,
Yep.
right? That's fine.
And you raised an interesting point, Julian. At some point, you just got to let it go and say, okay,
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I've got to finish it.
that'll do, little pig. That'll
Yep.
do.
Yep. And that's what it will be. Like
Yeah.
I'm hoping this weekend to start painting.
Yeah.
Start painting the interior.
Yeah.
And at least get that done. Because I re-scribed everything. That was a fun job.
Should have had pity to have the new scribe that Julian's
Oh,
got.
that new scribe that Julian's got would have been an absolute lifesaver, especially doing this, re-scribing the flaps.
Well, you haven't put any paint on it yet, have you?
No, but it's all scribed now.
He's done the scribing.
I've done all the scribing.
How'd you get in there then?
I made my own scribing tool.
Oh, you did a Paul Budzik.
I did. I
You
made my own
your own tool.
scribing tool, yes. And that's how I got into that little... Because I've only got the Tamiya scriber, which is like a big plastic holder, and you just turn the knob and the blade comes out. But it's got a big bull nose on it, so the actual nose of the blade... the actual nose of the metal sticks past the blade.
Mm.
And on the Tamiya Brewster Buffalo, the bottom wings and fuselage section, well, the people familiar with a Buffalo, it was a barrel with wings.
Mm.
And the flaps go all the way up to the fuselage. So to try and get the scribing tool into that corner, wouldn't fit.
Oh, jeez.
So to make my own sort of scribing tool and do that. And first few had to get, well, basically re-puttied up and then re-scribe. But I did get there eventually, but yeah, it looked the part.
Just back on track with the rivet counters, the other thing too is that, you know, sometimes a lot of people are quite passionate about a particular subject
Yep.
Yes.
or a particular aircraft. And as a result, they would have gone and got, you know, every book known to man that was ever produced on, say, the F4 Phantom or whatever, or the A4 Skyhawk. And you can sort of have a bit of self-assurance that going to that person, they'll know.
Yep.
Other people might use ex-servicemen as a source of information.
Yeah.
That can be fraught with issues, though, because I remember the classic story about somebody asked one ex-serviceman about, what colour are your 105 howitzers? He said, well, they're just bloody green, weren't they? And that was it. It's a bit more than a bit less than what the modeller was actually trying to get out of him.
Well,
green was green.
Well, you think most of these servicemen didn't really give a damn what colour it
Well,
was,
you know,
as
when
long as it worked.
Well, that's the thing, because when I was in the army, I sure as heck wasn't paying attention to what particular greens were or whatever. I mean, it was just green, and I was just doing what I had to do. And
Yeah, it's like
You know?
asking these old pilots, what colour was your P-51 Mustang?
yeah,
Well, they're freaking 90 plus years old. They're not going to remember that.
yeah, a couple of them will probably have quite good have good written notes, and which
Yeah.
are source material you can go back to. But by and large, you were just flying the things, or you're just shooting the things. You're just driving
you
it.
were lucky to get. You were happy when you landed the thing and
I
got home in one piece.
And I didn't know what colour the APCs that I was getting driven around in were. I just knew that they were sort of a green, you know? I didn't know if there was an FS number or AS number or a BS number or what. I just jumped in the thing and sort of went where they took me.
What
Yeah.
colour were they inside?
You know, I didn't really pay that much attention because when they closed it back up, it was bloody dark in there. So all I was worried about is where they're going to drop me off. Because 9 times out of 10, they look for the biggest puddle they can find and they say, D
Drop the
bus
door.
left, and off you go. And next thing you're up to your knees in bloody muddy water.
And they're all laughing.
Well, no doubt they probably
Of
were.
course they were.
But I mean, I guess the people who sort of work on the aircraft, like the fitters and that, would have a detailed knowledge of the mechanical sort of thing. The guys who worked on the tanks, the mechanics and all that would have much more detailed. But, the the poor old grunt or whatever, or the tanky or the pilot. I mean, they jumped in the thing and just went, didn't they?
Yeah.
There's a guy called Ian Huntley from the UK,
Yeah.
and he writes a lot about colours and markings. And he was a youngster during the Second World War, and he was actually taking notes on colours and markings at the time.
Wow, was he really?
Yeah. And he was actually getting access through things he was doing to actual aircraft. So his
Jeez.
stuff's really good.
Huh. Well, there you go.
There you go. There's a name to remember.
So I wasn't that obsessed when I was in there.
Right, So he was a modeller though, so this was
Yeah,
important to him,
yeah,
and he was
yeah.
taking note at the time.
Wow.
But there are also modellers in the current military. You sometimes see on Armour and
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so-
but a lot of those guys are sort of building the current stuff that they're serving
right,
in,
yeah.
and so they've got the advantage of having all the equipment and stuff that we've or paints and everything, but they're also serving and could go right up next to it, and
Yeah.
they can probably go down the Q store and pinch half a gallon of the paint that's needed.
For modellers in the future though, like 50 years, they'll
Yeah,
actually have some better
absolutely.
information than we have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or especially with digital photography.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Colour photography from the old days.
Oh, it's a
It's
guessing
a
game.
it's a land it's not nightmare. It can be
I think it's
a
misleading
minefield.
often.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Especially the right down to the World War II stuff.
Yeah. And also some of the... I remember looking at photographs of Polish armoured vehicles from the start of the war. And it's well known that the colours were sort of like sand, green and dark brown, chestnut brown. But in the photographs, the brown comes up as grey because AGFA rendered dark brown as grey.
Oh, really?
So then there's all the thing about were German tanks at the time brown and grey, which is the official colour. Then you see photographs, colour photographs, they're all grey. It's because AGFA colour film renders the dark brown the same as the grey, so you can't see it. But the photograph says, well, it's no brown on them. So, very
There
different.
you go.
Yep.
So it's a minefield.
Yeah.
It is a minefield.
So that's why you need rivet counters.
You do. But
Yep.
like I said, it I guess it comes down to,
Just find the good ones.
That's true.
and ignore the bad ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember a guy called Gaston Marty
Yes, the name
on
rings a bell.
hyperscale?
Yes.
He gave rivet counters a bit of a bad name because he when
You're not going to get us into trouble here by
Well,
saying
I-
that.
I-
Because isn't he the guy who termed the phrase
Fatal flaw.
Fatal flaw, yes.
Now, Gaston Marty, I don't think he's a bad guy because I think he's often right. I think he's got a really good eye.
Yeah.
He's pointed out things, and people sort of ignore the fact he's pointed out good things because of the way he delivers the message.
Yep.
It's sort of like this model's because this is wrong. It's not worth building. It's horrible. So that's not a good message. People don't want to hear that when they've bought the kit, and people rubbishing it. So I suppose there's some you've got to deliver the message in a sensible way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tact.
A bit of honey.
And I love other rivet counters because then I can learn, like for instance, they can talk about a kit, and they'll point out some problems, and I want to know the problems because I will want to deal with them. And sometimes they're things that are just too big to deal with, and other times there's something that's reasonably easy to deal with. So it helps a lot in which kit you decide to buy of a certain subject.
Yes.
And also too, like for doing it, you don't have to do research with other rivet counters like Julian is finding out. You go on site and people will just have done the research themselves, found everything, and you just have to follow what they've done.
Yes. Totally
So
agree.
I find that very useful. Sometimes not so useful when I've half built the kit
Yeah.
and then find out I have to rebuild the suspension and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, we've all fallen in that trap.
But I should have done research beforehand. My
Yeah.
biggest trap is when I say, okay, I'm just going to make this. I'm not really interested in the subject because I'm building it for a club. I'm just going to build it as it is, not worry about it.
Yeah.
Then I'll go and be looking online, often not looking for that thing, and I'll go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it and end up doing a massive amount of work, sometimes not finishing the model because there's just too much to do. I've gone too far on building the model and it's too late to
You're
fix it.
burnt out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've fallen in that trap too a few times. Yeah, I'll build this out of the box, and you start building. It's like, no.
See,
Yeah.
when I first got back into modelling, and I first met Robert, he was working on an IL-2, the early single-seat version, and he was rescribing all the panel lines on the wings because they were all wrong in the kit. And he never finished that kit.
I'm going to that's one I'm definitely going to finish.
Oh, really?
Because I found actually decals for that. I don't have to make my own decals for that.
Oh, well done.
Yeah. Calibri decals.
Okay.
Who?
Calibri, they're a Russian firm.
Oh, okay.
They make great Russian tank decals and Russian aircraft decals.
Ah,
so
Calibri.
really good stuff. You've got to buy directly from him.
Right.
So yeah, I think I'll be buying a few from him.
Sounds good.
Rivet counters are okay.
We have our
think
place.
they're also too, as Ian said, you make your own model, and I care about accuracy on my model. I don't care about other people's models.
As long as they enjoy building it.
But it's almost as if like if you accurize your model, it's sort of like people get like saying, "Oh, does that mean I have to do it to mine?"
No.
It doesn't.
No. You build
But
for
people
yourself.
get defensive somehow.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
how
Yeah.
it feels to me.
Yeah, you build for yourself, and that's always why you build.
Yeah.
If you're building for any other reason, unless you're paid to do it, then you're in the wrong hobby.
Yep.
Go and buy a train that's already built and put it on your HO track and watch it go around in circles.
But is that what you mentioned? Is that kind of like the sort of you know how like sometimes people outside of modeling
Yeah.
people will say, oh, that person's a tryhard, because they're willing to go above and beyond the level of effort that I'm willing to go to. So I'll disparage them.
Yes, yeah, very
But
much.
is that done on purpose to disparage them on purpose?
That's a bit of a tall poppy thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare that guy put 10 hours into his golf game more than I will and willing to, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Often when people do a lot of work on a kit, that guy has no life. If he can do all that, he's got, I'm doing other things, so I've got more important things to do to waste my time on that. But I do remember one guy in Eastern Europe, he built scratch built a 48 scale model of the Emily flying boat. He built the wings, like the ribs, all the ribs were in it, and then he covered it over, and he did it in like 4 months.
Yep.
Really short time, fantastic model. And people are that guy's got no life. Then he showed a picture of his wife holding the model. She was really hot. so unless he hired a model to hold his model, he had a pretty good life going, and he was a good model, great modeler as well.
He's Russian, was he?
Don't think Russian, maybe Czech or something.
Czech, yeah.
What a great
But he's
come
probably
down,
gone,
yeah.
this is my wife, Olga, and everyone's going, oh, Olga. Ooh. And the photos come up, and I'm like, ooh, Olga.
But it is funny. People sort of don't like it when other people go to a lot of effort and do a good job.
Yeah.
Is it jealousy?
I know
think it
sometimes I
might
like
be.
just messing with people, especially at
Yeah.
the club. Like, I'll come behind somebody who's done something and I'll go, oh, you chose that colour, did you? Just to mess with their head.
Mean.
Just to mess with their head and have a laugh. And they'll look,
mean.
they'll stop and then they'll turn around and look at me and I'll give them a wink and a bit of a laugh. They'll know straight away I'm joking.
To be honest, we have a few people like that.
Yeah, we do.
we got Bill who, he'll go, oh, that's not a real model because it's not of a real thing because he doesn't like sci-fi subjects or anything sort of fictional.
Yeah. By the way, Bill, hope you're recovering well after
Yes.
your bike
Oh.
accident.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a nasty slip.
He fell off a bike.
Yeah.
What are you doing riding a push bike at your age, Bill?
I think it was a motorcycle, wasn't it?
No,
it was a
the push
bike.
bike.
Push
yeah.
bike. He landed on the tram tracks and
Yeah.
broke his hip.
Broke his pelvis and
Two places.
Yeah. Dude, you're too old to be on the push bike.
But get
You
well
can-
soon anyway.
Yes, exactly right. Get well soon. And
Yes, just stick to driving your Mustang.
It's exactly right. Sorry, Julian.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like he's one of our eccentric characters from our club, and he likes to.
What, you mean our club's got eccentric characters, Julian?
Oh yeah. Well,
But it is quite funny where he says,
oh, that's not a real model.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's not a model.
How can you build that thing? It never existed in real
Well,
life.
it doesn't exist. It's not. And then you sort of try to pin him down by saying, well, no, this is a model because they built the real thing, a mock-up of it, and it's in 1-to-1 scale, right? Kind of like, and then you say, oh, well, what about architectural models? Do those count? And he's like, oh, you see the little grin in the corner of his mouth. He's just doing it for fun,
Yeah. Just
You
pulling
know,
a chain.
Bill, of course it's real. The galaxy far, far away. It's somewhere. It's real out there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's called the not called the multiverse
Verse
for nothing.
Exactly right. Yes, that's exactly right. Oh,
Yes,
jeez.
too true.
Oh, jeez. That's so funny.
Yep. So, yeah.
So, Rivet Counters. We've got a new name for him yet?
So I think we're going to have to think about that a bit more.
Yeah.
We'll have to think about
Yeah.
it. Well, dear
Well,
listener,
we'll put it out
why
to
don't
listeners.
Yeah, so we'll put it out to the benches out there and see what they think.
Yeah.
I suppose one thing we could say is that if you're going to be a rivet counter,
Don't be a jerk.
Be a nice rivet counter.
Yeah.
Don't go and point out problems. If you know someone's going to build a model and there's something you know about it, tell them before they start.
Yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
point it out after they're finished.
And when it's finished, just say, yeah, it looks good.
It looks really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well done. Did you enjoy building it? Yes. Well, that's the main thing.
That's right.
Or as I said, we'll just take ownership of rivet counters and don't use it as a derogatory term anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
I said call an arsehole's an arsehole, so call it an arsehole.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally agree.
I agree.
Very good. All right, we'll wrap up that segment. We got time to talk about masking?
Why not?
Yeah?
Yeah, why
A
not?
long podcast is a good podcast.
All right, okay. We'll have a quick 2-minute break and we'll be back to talk about masking. All right, we're back for the second part of the discussion, which is going to be about masking. And I know there's been a lot of listeners who have requested this, so I'll be very pleased that we're finally getting around to talking about it. Because some people have immense amount of issues with masking their models before they paint them, or while they're painting them, I should say. And, you know, I well remember having some issues with the boot line on my ships when I first started out. But I guess we'll step through. There's a whole range of different things that we can use for masking. So the first one is obviously the tomato tape, which everybody sort of uses, I guess, or should be using.
Yep.
Don't use sticky tape.
Don't use masking tape.
Masking
Well, it depends
tape.
on what sort of masking tape.
Well, because tomato tape is masking tape.
yeah, there's painter's masking tape too, which is
Yeah.
there's differing grades of tackness.
Yeah, it's funny because I've got caught out because I've gone in the store and bought the low tack version of that.
And all it does is bleed. The paint bleeds.
Well, you know
underneath it.
what? Even in when I'm painting the house, I put it up and it says low tack, and I peel it off, and the paint comes off with it. So don't believe everything that it
That's because you
says.
haven't prepped your painting surfaces correctly.
No, it was already what?
Well, the paint shouldn't come off when you.
No, it was the old paint underneath.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
The person before didn't prep.
Yes,
their
exactly
surfaces.
right. That's damn straight, Robert.
Just sand it down to the wood and then you'll be right.
Yeah, exactly. I think, so choosing the medium to use. So tomato tape, everybody's familiar with that. Kabuki tape's another one.
Which is what tomato tape is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but I believe not all kabuki tape is the same.
No.
Not all kabuki is kabuki.
Well, I mean, isn't there also camo-y tape? Isn't that like a variation of it or something like that? I've heard that name thrown around.
Could be.
Don't know.
Yeah. In any case, I would just stick with Tamiya tape for all the sort of areas where you really need it to look A1, right?
Because the good thing with tomato tape is it doesn't bleed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially if you burnish. But we'll get into that. We'll go through the different types of covers there is, and we'll go back to talking about burnishing and that sort of stuff.
So I always one thing I always do is I always cut off the edge because the edge of the tape is never as sharp as you can get it with a knife.
Oh, geez, you're a perfectionist,
Yeah,
don't
don't you do that?
No. What?
Yeah. You never take the tape off the roll and put it straight on.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I'm with you, Dave.
No, Dave.
That's
There's-
all right.
No wonder you lose decals and things. Shit. Dave.
No.
Well,
I
get my tomato
challenge you-
tape.
Yeah.
And I put it on a glass sheet, and I get my small steel ruler and the sharp new blade in me knife, and I trim it to the size I want.
But how do you know you're square?
How? Because I use a square.
Yeah, but what do you square it off against?
Well, the corner of the glass. I put it against the bottom of the corner of the glass, so it's the edge is square with the glass
Okay.
that I'm working on, and then work off that.
Okay.
Always.
I don't feel that the tape as it comes off the roll is that out of whack or out of sync that I need to get down to that detail. If I was building in 1/200th scale, I could perhaps, 1/2000th scale, 1200th scale, I should say. Yes, I'd probably get down to that detail, but no.
Yeah,
You guys are mad.
that's fun.
Well, I just
Well, I understand the therapeutic qualities of it. I get
Yeah.
that, but I don't
But I mean, like,
necessarily
it doesn't
agree.
necessarily have to be right angle square. It just needs to be straight and clean. That's why I do it. Right?
So,
I don't need.
I understand how Ian's doing it. I'm interested to see how you cut your tape then.
Well, I have a cutting board.
A cutting board.
Yeah. You know, like the standard, the self-sealing green cutting boards that.
Yeah,
Cutting
Max.
mat, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cutting mat, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just put my tape on that, I have a small steel ruler, and I just cut like a less than a millimeter or something off the edge of it.
So you guys are just looking for the one edge to be straight. You don't care about the other side.
No.
Because if you know,
It's
if
the
you
edge-
ever,
It's your leading edge is what you of the tape is what you need to be completely straight and flat.
yeah, like it's like you know how like when you've got your reel of tape there,
Yeah.
your roll of tape,
Yeah.
and you know how like dust and other junk will stick to the side of it.
Yeah, but I can see that before it comes out, before I put it on the model.
Yeah, but I mean like that happens because there's all glue and stuff hanging off the edge of it.
Otherwise, it wouldn't stick to it.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, like imagine you've got a roll of tape
Yes.
and it looks like a wheel of a car.
Yes.
The side wall
Yes.
of that wheel is where dust and other things will stick to it because there's glue hanging off the edge of it.
No, because my tape comes in these sealed things that I use.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
The
spray
tomato-
it for the proper thing.
Yeah, I spend the big bucks and get the proper tomato
Okay,
tape
and
that
so
comes in
what-
its own little dispenser.
Okay, so when you've done with this
I just buy the
dispenser,
refill.
Yes.
do you wind it all the way back up inside it, or do you leave a little bit sticking out so that it's not too difficult to get at?
I'll leave a little bit sticking out.
Yeah, and that's
But
the
then
part
I-
where the dust gets on it.
Yeah, but I rip that off before
Yes,
I use it.
Yes.
Thank you, Robert.
Oh, you're just wasting tape, aren't you?
I don't care.
Okay. Well, in any case, there's always going to be that little bit of glue and stuff that hangs off the edge.
Yeah.
And you're going to want to get rid of that
Yes.
as well. Right? Like maybe it's a negligible thing, but it's something that I do.
I get you guys cutting it on the width, but the length, you've just got me bamboozled by doing that.
Well, in any
That
case,
way you're guaranteed a straight edge.
when I have to mask a 90-degree corner, so I've got like two pieces of tape
Yep.
that meet together.
Yep.
I always cut each of them in a bit. I don't cut them at 90 degrees. I cut them at less than 90 degrees.
80 degrees.
Yeah, whichever angle you want. I don't
84.7 I prefer.
yes, something like that. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just do it so that my points, I can align my points perfectly.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about like maybe I've gone slightly over 90 degrees and I end up with like a small jutting out thing.
Oh, yeah, I
a
get
little
what you're
bit,
saying. Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. So I like to do things like that. Another tip I have is when masking, if you don't have the luxury of an Eduard mask for your canopy, right? I turn the flashlight function on my mobile phone on. I put my phone face down on the desk, and I use the light coming up through it when I cut the excess tape off from doing canopy frames.
Well, before we get to that, let's talk about the different sort of tape and things that you can use before we get down to that sort of detail, because there's some interesting things about when it comes to masking your canopies.
All right.
So another one's called Frisket,
Yep.
which is like a transparent, almost plastic that sort of sticks
Yeah, it's the
down.
old airbrush. Airbrush artists used to use it a lot.
Yeah, that's
Very
right.
hard to get your hands on now, apparently. The original Frisket film, which was the best. The
Oh,
newer
is it
stuff
really?
is not as good as the original.
And then there's vinyl tape, which is available now.
Yes.
Yep. So I use the Tamiya vinyl tape.
Yep.
Is it that white stuff that you can bend?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that.
Yeah, I've
I
never
haven't used it yet,
Yeah.
but I've got some.
You get some. You never use it.
Yeah. It's got very low tack initially. So when you put it down, it'll come off quite easily. But once you burnish it down, it really sticks. So it needs to be that way if you're going to maintain the curved sort of things that you kind of buy it for doing curve shapes.
So we've used the word burnishing a couple of times. Let's explain what we mean by burnishing it. And so what that means is when you put the tape down, you rub the edge with, I prefer to use a bit of like a wooden dowel, and I use the round bit just to either toothpick or your thumbnail.
Thumbnail. Back of your
You
thumbnail.
just what you're doing is you're just pressing it down so that you can
Yeah,
get
but you
no
don't
leak
want to go
underneath there.
too hard.
No.
Just enough, say it's on there
Yep.
and it's not going to lift.
Another reason why I use lacquer paint, so I don't need to worry about things lifting as much.
Yeah, true.
True.
Then you die earlier, as we.
Yeah, right, yeah. Okay.
And if you're still having trouble with paint leaking under your tape after you've burnished it and that, another trick is say you're painting over green, so you're putting your masking tape on top of the green, and then you're going to do a brown next to it. Before you spray your brown, so you put your tape down, and you just spray along the edge with the same green that's underneath the tape, and then you do your brown. So any leak will be your actual green first, if you get what I mean.
Yes.
Another way to do that without having to worry about the colour is if you use clear. Just spray with clear, okay?
Spray with clear so you seal the edge of the tape.
Yeah.
That's very clever.
And you don't have to worry about the colour.
Oh, very clever.
Another sort of way of people do it is they just spray away from.
Yeah, don't
The
spray
edge.
towards the edge. You spray at the angle away from the edge.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yep.
There are limitations to that. You know, like if you're spraying whites and yellows and reds, other colors where you need to build up a lot of opacity, a lot of paint before you can get it properly 100% opaque, then, you know, chances are you're going to have that thing where the paint rises
You get the
up.
lip. You get the lip.
that comes up to the tape.
Yeah.
And that's not so cool.
Well,
So
here's a quick question. How soon do you take the tape off?
As soon as possible.
That's what I
Yep,
reckon.
I never leave it on. I have done that through sheer laziness sometimes with, more particularly when I'm doing boot stripes on my ship hulls.
Yep.
So I'll leave the tape that's covering the black up because I'm doing either the lower or the upper hull, and I'll leave it there to protect it. And I can go for weeks and weeks and weeks and still lift it with no issues.
Right.
But mind you, I'm using good quality tape and good quality sort of paints that have already got been primed as well, so it's got something to bite into. But yeah, I haven't had many major issues with paint lifting. In the early days, I did,
Right.
but it was just because of my own poor choice of
products.
Yeah, like I used AK as a as a primer, and I had the misfortune of this sheets of this thing just sort of lifting off. It was
And
shocking.
that's it. I don't use primer. And I don't have the problem with paint lifting.
Well,
But then,
But you have had a problem recently, haven't you?
what was that?
Didn't you?
like?
You
I certainly did.
yeah.
Trying to remember if I did recently.
Yeah, you did, because we were laughing because you didn't use primer and you should have used primer. What was that?
I can't remember.
I can't remember. The only time I ever used
Come on, Julian, you found it just as hilarious as I did.
I'm sure I did.
But
Like,
I
that
said-
sounds like something I would do, but I can't remember what it was.
But to not use primer, I just sand the plastic,
Yeah.
scuff the plastic up.
Yeah.
Plastic's rough. Paint's going to bite to it.
Yeah. Sorry, Robert, you were saying?
Oh, well, I was just saying I had the problem of I was in a hurry getting
Yeah.
stuff ready for Model Expo, so I painted over without primer, and then as I was moving the model over, just touching it with my fingernail, scratched the paint off. And that was Tamiya paint,
yeah.
which normally goes onto plastic. I think I used too much retarder in the paint.
Okay.
Later on, when I tried to get it all off, it wouldn't come off.
It was on there.
Oh, it was just a litany of disasters, that Model
Yes.
Expo lead up.
So the part that people get themselves really tied up about is when it comes to canopies and masking canopies. And here I've seen recently a lot of people banging on about lolly wrappers.
Chocolate wrappers.
Yeah, chocolate wrapper from a particular brand.
Because they use it like adhesive foil, or
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly right. So the lolly wrapper will consist of a foil that goes towards the chocolate, and it's like a clear cellophane that's on the outside, and they'll peel the two bits apart,
right?
and they'll use the foil onto the canopy, burnish it on like we discussed before. They'll get a toothpick or a bit of dowel that's been very small and rub it in, a bit of rubber and rub it in, and then they'll go along the window with a sharp knife and just peel it off.
What do you do with all the discarded chocolate?
Well,
it.
there's a lot of fat modelers out there, I guess.
Yeah,
Or a
no.
lot of very happy
So
wives.
I've never been able to do that. Cut the mask while it's sitting on the canopy.
Well, see, I've tried, not had issues.
It's not that I don't think I'd be able to do it. It's just it terrifies me to think that I'm going to make a mistake
scratch.
and just put a big blade mark through the glazing.
So-
So I'd rather just cut up a whole heap of tiny little shapes and just put them in,
Well,
fill up the holes.
this is not necessarily how I do it, but if I really had to do it often, I would, it's this kind of thing where, it's a time investment thing, right? If you have to do it all the time, then you would get the proper tools and things to do it with, right? But I imagine, like, the way I've seen Paul Budzik do it is he has a curved blade, and he doesn't pull on stroke with his knife. He pushes, right?
Right.
And so he runs this blade through the panel lines and things on the canopy up to the corner, and then he rotates that curved edge of the blade so that the very, very pointed tip of the blade lands in that corner.
I do something similar, except the blade I use is a curved blade, and I use a rocking motion, so that way I'm not allowing the knife to slip. And when I get to the very corner like you do, then I just rotate it all the way in and just press slightly. And I found that works reasonably well. But I'm like you, and I'm petrified when I do that in case I get that mark.
Yeah.
But the other way around it also is you can use masking fluid to actually cover in the bits you don't want to paint. And then you just scribe along the edge and just roll off the excess masking fluid.
Yes.
Oh, right.
The masking fluids like Humbrol do one.
Yep.
Microscale do one.
Molotov? No, what's the name of that?
Molotov.
Molotov do one
they
now.
do one. Yeah, they got a masking pen.
Yeah, but unfortunately the pen doesn't get right down to 0.1, which is really annoying. So I wonder if you can spray that stuff through your airbrush.
I wouldn't want to.
It's latex based, mate. It's going to really just gunk your works up.
Okay, the thought arrived and it's disappeared now.
Guns also do one.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do one. It's in an odd shaped bottle.
Mr. Masking fluid, isn't it?
It's in a triangular shape.
Yeah.
Bottle, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like almost like the old nail polish kind of bottles. Yeah, it's conical.
Orange top and it's blue.
I do know that the Humbrol stuff stinks to high heaven.
Yeah, well, it's latex.
Jesus, stinks.
It's latex.
Oh, they use a latex one, do they?
Yeah.
Right. It smells like fish or something.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Fishing is an interesting term, but yeah, I wouldn't.
I've also seen
ammonia.
I've also seen people use the masking fluid for when they want to mask areas for the whole chipping look.
Yeah, see, chipping's a different thing, I think. So I agree with what you're saying. I've seen that, but
I mean, Chris Dowsett, who we've had on the podcast, he did that on a lot of his armored vehicles. So he used the maskable stuff and he put it all over it. After he painted like the metal colors and things like that, and he just did his base coats over it, and then he rubs it off, and so he's got some chipping there. But then he adds to it with other elements, like maybe brushes and pencils and things like that.
It's very effective.
You do something similar in with your little. I love the way you do your scuff marks and rust marks on your armor.
Yours is primarily your paintbrush work, isn't it?
Yeah, mainly paintbrush work. Yeah,
but it looks so good.
Very rare for me to actually physically chip the paint away.
Yeah, you painted on.
So I know everyone these days is a big fan of the whole hairspray method and the chipping fluid stuff, but knowing that I have to chip it away within X amount of time after the paint has gone down, you can't just leave it there like a week and
the one I did, the biggest project I did which had chipping on it was
Was it a Japanese plane?
No, it was a Nitto SF3D, the Croto.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't actually use any masking fluid. I used Vegemite.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Which is for our British friends is like Marmite.
Except tastes better.
It tastes a lot better. Apparently Americans hate the taste of Vegemite, but that's their loss.
Yeah.
And I just used that on a sponge. And then put the paint over the top, and then run it over under some warm water. Once the paint just started to get tacky, started to go off, and then put some warm water with a very soft brush, come up beautiful. And I got quite hungry doing it.
all these masking methods that happen to coincide with food.
Good observation. Now, if we can only come up masking methods that got to do with beer, would be an even better situation.
Oh yeah, you can just. It's a bit
I've
of
got
bit of a waste to clean out your brushes in
Let's
there.
do a podcast on modelling so we can drink beer while we're doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I've got a slightly food-related method of masking. When you've got to do bulk masking, you've done the bits that actually need the masking, but you don't want to have overspray.
Yep.
I like to cover my models completely because I'm sort of, I think I'll get overspray. So I've tried a couple of methods. One which works, which is aluminium foil. I find you can get that and you squeeze it around the model loosely, and it works well. Another one I don't recommend is cling wrap.
A lot of people use cling wrap.
Well, I used it on when I painted it with Gun's paint, and it reacted with the paint. and left
Oh.
little weird lines and stuff on
Oh.
it. So I don't recommend that. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Maybe you can use other paints. It probably work great with your lacquer paints.
Lacquers,
No.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, not with the
How
paint.
just a question? How long did you let the paint dry before you masked it?
A while.
A while.
Because
So it had gassed off.
Yeah,
Because I was
'cause-
thinking maybe it might have been gassing off while it was
Yeah.
wrapped up.
Mm.
Well, sort of, we know that like with plasticizers in plastics, it must have a lot in it.
Yeah.
It, like with the rubber type wheels, eats away at normal plastic. I mean, it's going to have a go at paint on, I imagine.
Yeah, because that's why my modelling takes so long now, is because most of the time I'll paint something and I'll leave the paint for a week before I touch it
Yep, yep.
and put another coat on it.
No,
Just let
see,
it
I'm-
gas off completely. Let it go rock
Yeah.
hard.
See, that's why I love using lacquers, because I can spray it and go wham with a second coat and the third coat and
Yep.
start doing anything else straight
If
away.
I just wait a day.
I usually
24 hours
I,
is-
can wait, I usually wait a week now.
No, I'm too impatient.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Good things come to those that
Yeah.
wait.
I
See, that's why I have decals lifting off. I'm too impatient.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
Yeah.
Too true.
Putting tape on decals is no, I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
I've actually I've put tape. I can't remember how I did it, but I ended up putting some tape on a decal and it came off, and I was able to peel it off the tape and put it back on.
Wow.
Wow, that's a rarity.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Oh, I sort of like, oh, that was too close for comfort. I'm not going there again.
No.
Well, seeing that Julian's reveling in my discomfort, I think it's a good point to sort of end the podcast.
Works for me.
So you should have ended it at the start of the podcast. Then.
Oh, yeah, very funny.
Yes.
All right, so, Ian, sign off from you.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Yes. Photo etch is your friend. Remember that, guys, because it is important.
Thank you very much. Julian,
I don't have anything to say.
very good. Let's go over to Robert, and thank you, Rob, for joining with us.
Yes.
And before we
Thanks for
go,
having
we
me.
must put out our best wishes for a good friend of ours whose partner's in hospital.
Yes.
Should we go ahead and name him?
We can say Tom, I think.
Yeah, Tom will be fine.
Yeah.
So best wishes, Tom, from us.
Yep.
Yep.
Hope that she gets a quick recovery.
Yep.
Totally agree.
And yes, so sorry. Thanks very much for popping along tonight.
Good. I've got my final comment would be
Yes.
photo etch can be a friend as long as you solder.
Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh, it's stepping it up a notch.
yeah. We have to get you back to the
Oh.
You can't.
dissuade you of that.
The solder doesn't work in all situations.
Well, obviously, don't try and solder it to your model. That's probably not gonna work. But once you've tried solder, it's very good.
Totally agree.
There's a room temperature solder that you can use.
Well, that'd be no good because it'll just fall apart if you've got
No. There's
hot
one-
day and your models collapses.
No, somebody's telling me there's a low temperature one that you can use.
There's low temperature solder, but it's not room temperature.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. I actually use the low temperature one. The idea is you can use low temperature and high temperature, so you can do two different sorts of soldering. So like you can solder parts that would otherwise fall apart when you
Put your second bit of
Put the
solder
second
on
bit of
and
solder.
it heats
you've
up
got
and
you a bit of
melts
a
it.
rivet counter and a soldering thing there.
Yeah.
We're going to have to look at this in more detail. I think.
don't know that I know that much about it.
For a future
But
episode.
it's very, fantastically useful for some things in.
I'll have to look at it.
Oh, especially when you're doing larger stuff and you want it to be strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
I found it great for putting on rivets. A lot of things though, I'd be a strip that has to have rivets put on. That's great. You can just tin it first, place your rivets on, hit it with some heat, permanently on there. No work, no fuss, no muss. You know, that was a
There you
very
go.
long final.
That
comment,
was a very
wasn't it?
long final comment. All right, gents, thank you very much. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in a fortnight.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, we hope you enjoyed the show, and we're sure glad that you tuned in and listened to us. And of course, don't forget to listen to our friends from the Scale Modelling Podcast. They produce their podcast on our off week, and so that ensures that you get a modelling podcast at least once a week. So go right ahead and have a listen to Stuart and Anthony. And by the way, Anthony, those sanding sticks of yours are absolutely awesome. So everybody do yourself a favour and have a look at them from Goodman Models because they are absolutely terrific. So we'll be back in a fortnight. Not quite sure of what the subject's going to be yet, but we will have something for you that you will find interesting. Thanks for listening.